And I'm going to tell you, they keep shoveling it out there. Bigger shovels coming at you all the time. If you're on the line, ladies and gentlemen, just give us a second here. We're waiting for one person to join from Zoom, and then we'll get started.
Maybe I don't want that one on. I don't think I want that one on. Rowdy find his cattle?
Well, we know where they're at.
Haven't been able to get them out.
We got to go again. Find them off purpose.
Your turn.
Well, it's gonna take more work.
You get a better repellent system than that damn
I am.
Lariat road. You can't go down there and break your damn neck, brother. There ain't no cow worth you breaking your neck over. Crippling yourself up.
All day long.
Hello, this is True Kirk.
Dead sheep and
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
okay.
All right, since our current participant has joined us, we're going to go ahead and stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will get started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning, everybody. First thing we're going to get started with here is the minutes. Commissioners, have you had the opportunity to go over the minutes?
Yes, I have, Commissioner, and I have found that there are no corrections or deletions in there, and I would make the motion the proceeding of the Board of County Commissioners for Montezuma County, March 24, 2020, virtual meeting be approved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second to approve the March 24th, 2020 virtual meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We'll go right on to our emergency manager update with Jim Spratlen.
No, need to hit her on, there you go.
Can everybody hear us okay that's
Yeah, are
on
you-
Zoom?
Yes.
I can hear you well.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Everybody hear me okay?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, great. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, County Administrator.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. So as we know, this is the event that we're going through is moving pretty quick. A lot of changes are going on, coming down, regulations coming down from the governor's office. So this last 7 days has been pretty fast for all of us. So I tried to capture everything in the last 7 days. So I'll go over them briefly. If you have any questions or you want a little more detail, please feel free. Give me a yell. We're looking at our transportation, and I spoke with the county transportation ridership now. They're at about 9 per day. Of course, that went down from 10 to 20 and then from 50 to 60. They're helping Meals on Wheels at this point, so they're serving a lot of meals. The airport, normal business. Airlines running regular flights, and they will accept any kind of air care flights or any kind of medical aircraft. They're fully staffed. Communications, the emergency communications center that we have in Montezuma County is full operational. They're maintaining the best they can of 2 on staff just to keep social distancing, and if something happens to them, they've got more people that can come in. So they're not going to put a lot in there at this point, and there's no need for it, so they're doing well. Spoke with Public Works, Road and Bridge, water treatment, everything's normal operations. Of course, half of their workforce for water treatment, they're on call if needed. County road maintenance services were not affected, normal operations. Landfill, normal operations, they're not accepting all recycling materials. Firefighting, talked to a couple of agencies, still reaching out for several, but talking with our local chief here, he's in contact with all of them. They're doing well. The few calls, they're up from last year. at this time. They are responding to some illness calls. They're doing well. Their PPE is there. Of course, they need more just like everybody else. They're doing symptom checking, their staff prior to and after their shifts, and they're doing their weekly inventory on all their PPE, so they're keeping track of that. We're trying to keep them supplied. In emergency management and planning, we're spending a lot of time working with the health department. We're trying to plan at this point for the response issues, but we haven't negated the fact that we need to plan ahead for 30, 60 days out in advance. So with that EOC and our MAC group, we're working hard at trying to still do the planning phase as well as the response phase. So it's kind of, we're pulling in, we're trying to look at the bigger picture now and not be tunnel vision on just response, because that can suck you in, and it's sucked us all in so far. So we're working on that. We still have our emergency ops center. It's still up and running. We do our virtual meetings twice a week, and we may raise that to 3 times a week depending on what's going on. Our sheltering, our housing, our emergency assistance, our mass care area. The homeless shelter, they pretty much have 25 people in there, and they've shut the doors. They're done. They're keeping them inside because that's the vulnerable population. If they leave, they can't come back. So at least 25 of that population are secured. We're still seeing some running around the town, and so we're just kind of keeping an eye on them.
So is that shelter full?
No, I think they can get up to 40,
Okay.
but I think only 25 showed up, so that's kind of where we're at there. And again, they're closing April 17th. We do have a list of motels and hotels offered up their rooms, social services. Gina's keeping a track on all that, so we have a nice list of any responders that need to be quarantined away from their residence, or in fact using it for an alternate care site, which we talked about earlier. So we're going to be looking at them today, as a matter of fact. In logistics, a lot of challenges here trying to get supplies. We did receive some supplies from the state at the Strategic National Stockpile, and honestly, it was enough to put in a small Subaru, and that was about it. So we're the hub in our county to be able to give out supplies to Ute, Mountain Ute, and Dolores. So they've received their supplies, so did we. I put in another large order, and later today I'm going to put another order in. We did get a donation of N95 masks, 450, so we accepted them. They went to the health department. And then in my Office of Emergency Management, I have a small stash that, in case it's needed by emergencies, I can issue those out as well. So we have those. Food supplies, of course, a lot of things, high demand. Some of the shelves on the in the grocery stores, they empty quickly, but I just checked again at Walmart this morning. I've already talked to several big box stores and even the smaller ones, and they're doing well. They're able to restock, and so the public has slowed down a little bit, so they're able to restock, kind of keep things going. So there's not a panic at this point, and Walmart looked pretty good this morning. Public health and medical services, it's a very long, detailed report. I know that public health, I can give a quick overview, and then Bobby can give more later if she's around, and then the doc's coming on for the hospital. But we've had some issues on. Of course, our first responders are the key. If we lose them, then we're starting to lose our infrastructure in the government. So we don't want that. All first responders. So we're trying to get a system where they're advised that there is a possible infected person they're going to see. So we're working with the state on that. We're trying our best to build a system. It's not perfect, but we're going to have something to where the responders know for a 80% probability that when they're headed to this residence or contacting somebody that they may have it, so they can prepare. So we're working on that. The hospital has their drive-through testing areas. It's still Monday through Friday, 8 to 2. I think the hospital gave a report to the commissioners, so you have that, I think, in front of you. They are expanding their beds by working on a wing that they have, so they're going to be close to 60 beds. We are looking into a possible, we would like a surge tent for the overflow if we can't get an alternate care site, except surge tents are like $100,000 plus or minus. And somebody in the public may correct me and say we can get one cheaper, but they're pretty expensive. But if that's possible, then we may have to go that way. That helps expand the capacity as well. So so far, we've got 63 out of 64 counties declared state of emergency, and that was as of yesterday at 5. We've got, for the entire state, a little over 2,600 cases tested positive, 51 deaths. Our safety considerations for our county are what's going around us. So far, La Plata County, this was as of yesterday, which is behind the curve because it's still going. But La Plata County had 21 positive cases. Archuleta County had 1. San Juan, New Mexico had 22. San Miguel County to the north has 1. Apache, Arizona is up to 17. And then San Juan County, Utah has 4. Montezuma County has 1, as we know. And Southern Ute, they have 2 that are highly suspected. I don't know if, I didn't get information if they were tested yet, but Southern Ute has 2. And then Ute Mountain Ute, 0 for now, and the Navajo Nation now has 128. That's quite a growth, quite a curve there. So we do have 1, and I was informed, of course, by the health department, and like we always do, the contact tracing is being done right now, so we can inform others that you've been in contact, and we can start working on that. I haven't heard anything else on that. Agricultural, natural resources, we got animal shelter. We talked last time, there was an executive order that said elective surgeries were suspended, which is spay and neuter the animals. So I was talking to Jennifer over at the shelter, and they're okay. They got 25 large dog capacity there, and they have around 20. They used to be able to have the other shelters from the bigger cities, bigger areas like Albuquerque and Denver, and they'd meet in Durango, and they'd take some animals off their hands and take them to the bigger shelters. Well, now they're not traveling. Nobody's traveling. So they're doing okay, but they did have some animals, so they did file for an exclusion, an executive order to the governor's office to release some animals. So it's working. That system's working, and they haven't euthanized anybody. So they're doing well. So they're okay there. Energy. I talked to the guy there of Empire. He said they're keeping the power on, normal operations, no foreseen interruptions in the near future. Everything looks good on the energy side, so we're okay there. Public safety, the sheriff, he's reduced his population. They're in the 60s. They're slowing down, of course, their transportations. They're trying to keep that down, and the inmates. One of the concerns that we have seen in mass panic is the scam artists jump in, right? So they're on the emails. They're saying, click here, do this, do that. You got to be careful what emails you open up. The virus can get into your computer as well. And one of the things that we see is really sad is you get people impersonating law enforcement. So one of the messages that we're getting out, I think the public information officer, Vicky's going to get that out, if she hasn't already, I haven't looked yet, is just be careful, If you think somebody's pulling you over, get underneath some street lights, get into open public. It's going on in Denver, so it doesn't mean it won't happen here. And they're wannabes, they're people that are not law enforcement. And that also goes for people knocking at your door, saying that they're there to survey, we're from the health department or whatever. Don't answer the door, keep it locked. And, you can always call my number, and I can let you know what's really going on. So that's kind of an important thing. Cortez PD, of course, office staff cut down, but police normal operations, same with the sheriff. Mancos Marshall, they're doing well, normal operations. They got a couple extra people, but they've been with the RE6 school district. They serve 1,700 meals. Mancos Marshall, along with the school district and with the State Patrol, came out, and the SO, the Sheriff's Office. So they're doing wonders down there feeding the kids. So it's really good. Let's see, long-term recovery. So the federal and state government's working on a public assistance grant. Of course, there's rules keep changing. They're working on some kind of guidance. I'm not getting a lot of guidance yet, but our planning department, and Shaq can probably reiterate some more of this, but our planning department with some other county personnel, you're going to start gathering information from all the sources, from the state, from the feds, trying to put it together in a packet, and then they're going to work with the business owners in our county to help them understand the protocols, to help them fill out the paperwork, to try to build that economy back as we start recovering from this. So we can see that's a big need. Do you have anything to add for that, boss? Or?
We've got several employees working on that right now. Let me turn this mic on for YouTube. We've got several employees that are working on that. They've already compiled a list of businesses and began filtering through the information, and they will be contacting people shortly. And then when Susan updates, she's going to fill us in with some more of that.
And then I've mentioned before, one of the key things that government, I've seen in the history of the world, is we fail to get a consistent message out, and we've talked about that. We have now got a joint information system running right now. It's virtual, and we have 15 public information officers that are meeting, I think, today. So every entity is representative, and we're going to get that same message out to everybody. So I'm very proud of that. We, thanks to Vicki and all the entities, you know.
Jim, one question I
Yes.
have for you there on that PIO. Is our health department using our PIO, or are they kind of running their own information system out there? I listened to Karen Dixon yesterday, and I just wondered, is she traveling through the
Yes.
channels with our PIO that
Correct.
was designated? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Her, the hospital, the school district, I think, I had a list. I don't have the full list, but no, they're all working together, and that's kind of the key to it is everybody brings a piece to the table, but it's a consistent message. And I'm not going to talk about the health department or the hospital because I don't know that much about them. So they all have the same message, and they share. So, of course, that's always a challenge, but at least we got 15 of them working together. So I'm excited about that. That's part of our emergency ops center that we've put that in. Of course, everything's virtual. And then we're getting the posting daily. We're getting it out on the county Facebook page, our website, My Emergency, Office of Emergency Facebook. It's getting out there. Radio stations, newspaper, media, hopefully we'll work harder on some of that, but the information's getting out there. We're getting a lot of comments from people, good and, some questions, and we're trying to answer them, so works pretty good. The county we've got non-essential personnel working from home, a lot of virtual until April 11th or until further notice, and of course that changes. The last I heard was maybe April 30th now, based on the president and the governor. So we have about 24 employees out of 242, so that's about 10% working from home, and then we're using several employees, and then I'm going to try to pull some employees into my MAC group, my EOC, to start doing the planning and all the other things that I can't get my arms around. And of course, Mountain Ute, City of Cortez, Town of Dolores, Town of Mancos, they're all doing the same in their operations. I talked with Mesa Verde. Of course, they were closed March 25th. There's no access to the park and the public there. I didn't get into any kind of sheltering up there because that's a federal facility, and there's a lot of loopholes to jump through there. But there's still about 15 people that live back in there, so they're still continuing sending normal support, you know, UPS, FedEx, food service, et cetera, but it's pretty well shut down. And then the business industry, we talked a little bit about that. The Chamber of Commerce, Montezuma Business Task Force with the Southwest COG, sponsored by Region 9. We had a webinar on Thursday to help business owners become aware of the recovery information and what the feds in the state are working on and how we're going to implement this. And that was actually, I thought it was a pretty informative webinar. And that's where Shaq got the idea, we're going to start building this thing and get it out. But I thought it was really good. Tri-City Chambers of Commerce created Montezuma Business Task Force. So there's websites to go on, there's forms to fill out, and some of that we'll get out. The county funeral home, we talked to them, and that long-term planning going on. We're trying to figure out, you know, how many people per day and the storage, you know, of deceased and et cetera, and any kind of mass casualties. So we had that discussion, which was good.
Yeah, and also, Jim, probably
Yes.
you should check in with the coroner as well, just.
I did.
You did check in.
I did this morning, talked to him this week, and I just called him this morning. So we're on the same page in case, just not any of that's going to happen, but just in case. So he's actually coming by today sometime. We're going to have a little more in-depth on his capabilities and everything. So we're doing good there. But yeah, good reminder. And then as far as actual single resources fully dedicated to this, I mean, we're all dedicated to it, don't get me wrong. But I think with the counties, you've got Karen and you've got me, Karen Dixon, myself, and your PIO, pretty much fully dedicated 24/7 to this. Everybody else is dedicated, but they're kind of moving back and forth. So far we got 3 main people, 40 plus hours a week working on this, and as this builds, there's probably a good chance we'll have some more in there. And then my high concerns, of course, is potential high impact on media coverage. We've talked about that. We want to get that consistent message out. And we're trying to do that consistently on all the mediums that we have. So that's working so far. I haven't heard too many complaints. And then resource availability. That is a tough one. The deliveries from the state are very little, and they're not very often. So we are reaching out to our local businesses to assist. They're providing, their businesses are making masks and they're making gowns, and I'm going to call a couple of them today and kind of pin down where they're going, how much can they make, and where's it all going, and can they make more. So that'll help us in PPE.
What is the largest need of the PPE right now?
It's the masks, and then the second will be the gowns, and I think the third is the splash guards and goggles. But I'm not positive at this point. That's what I've been ordering. We get the test kits here and there, but I think the biggest need are the masks for the responders. And we don't want to get into a situation where they're wearing the same mask all day long or for a couple days in a row. So I think that's the shortage we're seeing all across the United States as well.
Jim, can any of those masks, I know in autoclaves and different things, can some of those masks that have been used, let's say you have first responders and they have 50 masks that they've used over the course of several days. Are there any autoclaves or anything anywhere that those things can be taken in, sterilized, cleaned, and then reused? I mean, I know the hospital has an autoclave, and could that be a possibility to get more mileage out of what we've got? I mean,
Right. You know, I'm not an expert in that. My understanding is once you've utilized that, the moisture gets in there, it breaks down the fabric, and if you try to clean them or sanitize them, it'll break them down and won't allow them to function in their proper manner. Okay. So we have to kind of get rid of them. They're more disposable type thing. I mean, that'd be a good question for health, but I'm pretty sure we can't reuse them. So I'm still working with the state. I've got a lot of resources. I'm even asking some of our local county people that are close if I can borrow some stuff. It's hard for them to give up their stuff, but we're working on that. So
This is Tony Sudduth. On the mask, actually, we just last week purchased two UV light towers that will actually allow us to disinfect the N95 mask to extend the life of those, and we're hopeful that'll give us a little bit of relief.
Good, Tony. I often wondered if there wasn't some way to take these masks and clean them up after they'd been used for a day or two, whatever period they're valid for, but that sounds like a good idea. That's gonna make your resource go that much further.
Right.
Tony, how many times can you disinfect a mask, just for my information?
We're still trying to find that out. We believe that we can actually get several, probably 5 to 10. We're going to have to do some testing on that to go along, but we said the UV light, so it doesn't affect the actual material itself. So, but we're still doing some testing when we get that all installed to find exactly how long, but we know it'll give us a little relief anyway.
Yeah, good move.
Good. That's good to know.
Tony, are you guys using one mask per shift or using one mask per patient, or what's the criteria that you're using?
No, we've already moved to 1 mask per day for each individual. Unless they are with obviously we haven't had this yet, but if they're with a known infected individual, that will be different. But currently we're able to use the 1 mask per individual per day.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
I would just say that, your job description is to prepare for disaster, and what you just gave us right there, you're preparing.
Well, thank you. I feel unprepared.
And we're in a disaster, so keep preparing.
I still feel unprepared. But I'm catching up a little in my brain, and then I think the rest of us are, it's a battle, and it's a battleground, and we hit it running. So I think we're all we're in that battle rhythm right now, so now it's trying to figure out what lanes we need to be in and kind of plan ahead. So thank you. There's a lot going on.
I have one other question.
Yes, sir.
When you were talking with the water, power, sanitation, and I did notice the post that went out that the city of Cortez is not or will not shut off any water. Have we checked also with like Montezuma Water Company, Empire Electric? Are they on board? Are they not going to discontinue service to anybody? Have we gotten that? Because I haven't seen any post as far as Empire Electric, the sanitation districts. Because
The city of
those are
Cortez
essential.
has made a public post that they will not be turning off people's water during this time.
I
Right. And
understand
Empire
that's the
said they're
city of
gonna keep-
Cortez. I didn't see them from Empire Electric,
I
Montezuma Water
haven't seen the
Company.
others either.
There are
The
a lot
only
of
ones I
people that
have
don't
seen
live
is the
within the
city.
city that have water that cannot be shut off either. So
Right.
our biggest part of our unincorporated county is not with the city of Cortez, it's with
Correct.
Montezuma Water Company.
And
So
the city is the only one I've seen a posting from.
I would like to make sure that you reach out to all of those
Okay.
entities to make sure that we're all in this and all on the same page, because we don't want those services disrupted either.
And if the governor, his last press release said that it was an executive order, they couldn't shut off utilities. So I think at the state level that's covered. They would be breaking the law if they did.
But it wouldn't hurt for Jim to be able to reach out to them and
Right.
get confirmation of it and then be able to
Just-
give it to our
Just so that we
PIO.
could let our people know in an actual post or a PIO.
Got it.
It doesn't necessarily give you a free pass. It's just
No.
gonna postpone your payment of that. It's not like you're gonna get free water or free electricity, but it's going to,
It's just a
it's going to
postponement.
move it on down the road until you're in the recovery stage to get your utilities taken care of, so.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. We
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
appreciate the
Thanks.
update.
Keep up the good work, Jim.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Planning Department, Don Haley and Jane Duncan. They're going to present something from Mr. True Kirk. So, are you guys ready?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can hear you, Don. We can't hear you yet. Or Jane.
Yeah.
Don, can you hear us?
Can you see me on the screen?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can.
Yeah, we
we
can
see
see
you.
you
We're
fine.
waiting
We
for Dawn.
usually start with our planning director.
That's a good thing.
So hold on. Don, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, how about proceeding with this? You're on. You have the floor.
We're ready to roll.
5 minutes ago, we were ready. Go ahead.
All right. We've got Mr. True Kirk's on the line as well. He has, he's the developer of the Kirk Puett Subdivision that is west of Puett Reservoir. It's a 6-lot subdivision that has 35 plus acres for each lot. And he is proposing to do a general PUD. He would like to build some small tiny houses that are roughly 500 to 600 square foot each. He's looking at doing it in 4 phases with one more shack. Scroll up. Scroll down again, Shaq, to the next page. Shaq?
Yeah, which page do you want? You got 3 pages.
The picture. Go to the picture.
You got 3
Okay.
pages.
So he's looking at doing 4 phases, 5 houses, tiny houses in each phase that would be for rent only. And I'll turn it over to True if he wants to go ahead and explain the scenario.
Thank you, Don. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
I've spent some time thinking about this plan. As it says, it requires 3 separate leach fields that I don't think is necessary. I probably would try to move those other 5 houses that are on the north side of, is that P4? Move them back up on the south side of that road, that kind of open space, and we could get everything under one leach field. I have a fairly large barn, a construction barn out on the Florida Mesa south of Durango. I've got some guys ready to jump in at a moment's notice and start building sections like SIP homes, SIP panels, and then we could transport an entire house over to this location and get it set up in a day probably. I know the restrictions of a place like this in La Plata County. Don't know if this is even possible in La Plata County. You guys are a lot more open and perceptive than we are over here. So,
Mr. Kirk, just a question for me, this Commissioner Ertel. So you plan to construct these buildings in La Plata County on property or a construction barn over there, and then transport them via rubber-tired transportation to your site and then set them up on your site?
that's primarily way now. If we had a construction site in this area, we probably could build them there. But I don't know any builders or anybody over there that could help us do that. We have a group of guys in La Plata County that could do that, and then I've got a 30-foot float fifth wheel trailer that would haul all the panels and all the trusses and all the decking, I think, for one house. And then we just have to have the Scenic foundation in place, and we can move them over there and set them up.
So you would assemble them here. They wouldn't come over in a single unit from La Plata County. They come over in pieces and then you'd assemble them on site?
That's correct.
Okay.
So, my question is to the planning director, Don, is, this still has to go through the whole process of planning. It's not, I mean,
Correct.
just whether
This
or
is just a,
PUD would work.
this is just a sketch plan review because of the density of 20 houses on one parcel versus a maximum of 2.
Gotcha.
Correct. So it would be no different than the RV park. These are only going to be 1 bedroom, basically 1 bathroom. So they're as far as the engineering of the septic system, they could obviously probably be tied into one, depending on the conditions that are out there. It looks like it's kind of on a canyon.
It's actually this road coming in, is that called P4, Don?
P.2.
P.2, goes up to the lake. I've further thought about this, and I think that area just on the south side and up against that hillside would be the location for the leach field. And the septic tanks, they have a very minimal use. One septic tank could probably supply 3 or 4 small houses.
Which that's going to be up to the engineer and the health department, which
Right.
that's not.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, as long as it's compliant with that, doesn't matter how they design it.
Drew, this Commissioner Tell again, what, you say these are going to be rental units. Are you thinking of those of vacation rental units or rental units for low-income housing? How do you perceive?
Low-income housing. I can tell you that that large, there was originally 6 35-acre plats in that. This is the only one I have left, and while I was still above ground, I'd like to just dedicate this to low-income people. And so, as opposed to the process of other people that have to acquire the land, I own the land, so I'll just dedicate this land for this purpose. And so I wanted to ask you if about the number of people in your county. Are there enough low-income people that could pay like $500 or $600 a month total for their space?
There's a wait list of 3 years for the housing authority, if that gives you any indication.
Yeah, my only concern with where this is located for low income people to get to this property where it's located way up north by Puett Reservoir, it's a long way from anywhere. It's kind of most low income people have difficulty with transportation and abilities to get from one place to another. This seems to be kind of a stretch way out in the country somewhere to have this low-income village, but I mean, that's not for me to say. It just looks like we're kind of remote for that kind of housing.
I agree that it is remote. It's got some pluses and some minuses. The minuses, it's the distance out there. Pluses, it's away from other population like we have a pandemic we're looking at now. It's really better that it be somewhat distant from other population. We also would propose owning a van or a small bus and make transportation early in the morning, late in the afternoon for people that might be working, just to provide transportation for them.
I'm good for it to go to planning and zoning.
I think as long as it goes
is-
through planning and you hit meet all of the criteria within the planning phase of it and the process, then, I mean, it's on 35 acres. It would come before us in 2 or 3 months,
Yeah.
or whatever the process takes you to get through.
Sounds like you got approval to move forward, TK.
Okay.
Yep.
Approval to move forward and tell me the first step we go through.
I'll get a hold of you, True, and we can get you squared away on the next step.
Okay. You might, can you put that other map up that has the map of the 6 lots? That
What's up?
one. There is,
35, 35, 35, 35.
this is now a gravel road. I don't know who gravelled that, but it's got a really good base gravel road off of P.2, south to that intersection, and then the road that angles down to, where about 3 lots come together. There's somebody who's leading on, I think that's lot F, the one on the west side. But all of those people, none of those people have water. And I guess I'm thinking about water is the water line from the Archuleta Montezuma Water District is about a quarter of a mile west of that yellow, the lot that's marked in yellow. And I know the rest of those places, and also other lots that are further south of this that we were never involved in. There's a whole lot of those people that would love to have water. And in this process, I would probably like to get the contact information from all of those people and just send out a mailing to try to acquire a number of other people who'd like to get water off of this system and sharing the cost.
Okay, well, that's up to the water company, TK. What our authority is we've already did that. So we're going to have to move on in the agenda, but just get with our planning director, Don Haley, and you can work on all those issues. We'll try to help you out the best we can, okay?
Temporarily, you think this is positive in your mind to do this?
It has possibilities. How about that?
You would have to, there is a requirement that you are going to have to be able to provide water
Yeah. And
for
utility, all
those
utilities.
20 or 24 homes. So that's going to go through your planning stage with the planning department and with Montezuma Water Company. So, like I said, if you meet all of the criteria and as a developer can supply it, then that will come before us at that point in time.
Okay.
All right, thank you,
Very good.
TK. We're going to go ahead and go to our next thing on our agenda, the Business
Thanks, Don.
Task Force.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
True.
And go with Susan Lilac.
Thank you,
Hi there.
Don. Check it out.
Okay, can everybody hear me well?
Yes, how are you this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm here today to talk about the Montezuma Business Task Force that we created. So the Tri-City Chambers of Commerce, which is Dolores, Mancos, and Cortez, decided to join forces and to get other people involved so that we can have one cohesive group to help out the businesses and to try to identify the best ways to do that. So our focus, we've got 2 big focuses that we want to really work on, which is, of course, the immediate COVID-19 crisis and supporting the businesses in that way. We want to help business owners get through the SBA loans, answer the questions, get them connected to the right people and organizations on their questions, because it's not just going to be about SBA, it's going to be about a whole bunch of different things. We want to be able to advocate on their behalf, so we've already had a conference call with Scott Tipton and gave him preliminary results of the survey that we are in the process of getting out and getting responses back. And then we're working on a list of chamber ambassadors, which are people that are willing to volunteer their time to go out and be the liaisons, because with 3 chamber managers and hundreds of businesses out there, we will not be able to hit everybody. So we've got ambassadors out there that are calling people that are maybe not as technologically savvy, that don't really work on internet. So that's going to be our first line. And then eventually reaching out to every single business, especially the ones that have filled out the survey, to get them the information that they need, to see what we can do to kind of help them get back on their feet. But the second major area of focus is also going to be future economic development. So we want to look 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road to see how the businesses are going to look like in the future, especially after this change. Businesses might be trying to do a little bit more telecommuting, more online things, and how we can help businesses work with that new way of doing business. We want to be able to build better relationships with the chambers, with all the other people that we have on our task force, all the different organizations out there. And we want to be able to communicate that information in one way where, they don't have to hit 20 different places to find out some information. We're hoping that, being the voice for businesses, we can help bring more businesses and more industries here, expansion of some of the key industries, and how we can make this a benefit for the county and not just be another task force that we meet and we just talk. We actually, our goal is to do action. So we have our business survey that went out. I've got 110 responses so far, and we only started this last Wednesday, and they're still coming in like crazy. So I'm hoping to be, 150, 200 by the time this is all finished. And our ambassadors are already starting to call out to a lot of these businesses, and if they haven't filled it out, they're actually helping them through and filling it out on their behalf. From the survey, though, the initial things that we've heard from this business survey is we have people that the businesses that are trying to transition their employees to work from home. The biggest thing is internet access right now. So we've been hearing that in quite a few of the comments is, I'm in a rural place and I don't have internet access. So it's hard for some of my employees as well that live in rural areas to get internet access. Of course, the number one concern for businesses are the ability to be able to get grant money, to be able to get their employees paid, get their bills paid, and things like that. But not just the grant money, it's the grant money in time for them to be able to reopen. Because a lot of these businesses don't have many weeks of cash flow that they can rely on. So they're worried that they're not going to have enough money in time to be able to reopen should all these restrictions lift. So that's one of the things. They're also, there's concern, and they would like to see more deferments out there on different sales taxes, their utilities, Empire Electric, water, things from all the different towns, not just from the city of Cortez, but seeing that from the county and the areas around in the cities. And federally, delays on income tax, which they already know that has been delayed till July. But a lot of the businesses aren't sure how they're going to get restarted because locals right now are not enough to sustain business in this area. This area is a huge chunk of tourism happens here. So, and they're not hopeful for this year's tourist season. Many of these businesses only have about 4 to 5 months to be able to make the bulk of their earnings for the year before winter comes around, and then they've got to be able to survive with almost zero or just the locals. And again, that's not enough to sustain a lot of these businesses that rely on the tourist industry. Of course, there are businesses out there that are doing well, that are actually seeing their income go up. So a lot of the grocery stores, the liquor stores, the marijuana dispensaries, things like that, are seeing a little bit of an uptick in their business. But what we're seeing is about 60% or more are seeing a 70 to 90% reduction in their amount of income that they normally would have, and or they're shut down completely due to government mandates, or they're just not getting enough. So again, they're not sure what they can do in the short term to get money to be able to pay their employees. Again, that's the biggest thing. I have a team of 21 people that are already on this task force, and it varies. A lot of them are in with the town and government. So we've got town managers, we've got mayors, we've got CREA, Cortez Retail Enhancement, Mr. Candelaria, you're part of the team here. And then I've got like Shaq Powers, Vicky Schaefer on there. And then we've got a representative from the bank, Mr. Sudduth. If you're interested, I'd also like to see if you're interested in joining as part of the Southwest Health System. So we're having a meeting tomorrow, and we're going to be going over the results from the survey, and I will be sending you the results from the survey so that you can see that. And then just seeing what we can do. So the biggest thing right now is trying to get these businesses through the SBA loans is going to be the really short term, and then seeing what the county can help with, what the cities can help with, and how we can convey that information off to the businesses. So the good thing is we're starting to collect a lot of the email addresses as they've been filling out the survey. So we have a good way to get in touch with the businesses in mass. So that's all I have to say right now. Any questions?
Susan, I have a question. What is the time frame, or you may not be able to answer this, but if they fill out an SBA loan and they go through that process, how quickly is it going to be expedited to get through the process, get approved, and then get their funding? Do you have any kind of an idea yet?
Yeah, from what I've been reading, so it should take about 3 weeks is what they're guesstimating on right now. But the biggest problem is a lot of these businesses don't understand the SBA loan application process, and a lot of them come through incomplete. So the biggest delay will be them not filling out all the information that they need, and then the SBA having to come back and making them fix another thing, and then it goes back out, and then they have to fix another thing. So that's where the delay, I think, will come from. If everything is good and all submitted, they're saying, everything should take about 3 weeks. But of course, I think that's a little bit on a hopeful side, because we're going to have a huge influx of businesses applying, and I think they're going to get overwhelmed. So our suggestion to businesses is get their forms in as soon as possible, and that's one of the things we're going to try to really tell our businesses, to make sure that, get in line now, because, if it's 6 to 10 weeks down the road before they can see some money, the sooner they get in, the better.
Hey, Susan, just a
Yes.
thought. You said you had a bank representative on your task force. You might encourage our local banking industry. Cortez and Montezuma County is an overbanked region of the world anyway. See if they could possibly do some bridge loaning or something. Take the SBA as kind of the ace in the hole, but see if because even 3 to 4 weeks, and most of them aren't going to get that. You're probably looking at 6 weeks, 2 months at the very best for these people to see any money. See if some of our lending institutions locally here would be willing to put up some bridge loans for these people and say, okay, we understand you need money now. We're going to bridge loan you $10 or $15 or $25,000 to bridge you until you get your SBA loan completed and approved and back to you. Because I don't think a lot of these people are going to put up with a 3 week, 4 week, 2 months delay in trying to get an SBA loan. I don't think some of them can afford to.
I have been talking with some of the banks around here. Now, they don't have any official programs yet in place, but they're encouraging all business owners. The first line of defense is going to be talk to your own personal bank to see what, take a look at your credit history, what you have as far as collateral, and seeing what they can do to help out the business in the short term. I think that's going to be the number one thing, because they might be able to do something a lot more quickly, like you said, than the SBA loans. So again, the first thing that we're going to tell people is, what have you contacted your bank? And if so, what are you, what kind of solutions do they have for you before you start working on an SBA loan? The one thing, though, that we've heard also as a concern from businesses is, these loans sometimes require a collateral that sometimes some of these businesses don't have. So there could be other issues going on. I know that the latest round of the CARES Act had said a lot of them don't require the collateral, and then they're also backed by the FDA. So we're trying to get through all of that information to make sure that we're all on the same page. And I know that as I talked with a couple representatives from Delaware State Bank, is they're trying to get through the verbiage of all of these SBA loans to try to figure out how they can process these and how they can work with them. So they're still trying to get on board to try to figure out how to work through some of these. And so we're hoping that our bank representative will also kind of give us guidance as well.
Susan, it was described to me that the way that the program works is you actually can go through your local bank for the SBA loan. And number one. Number two, it was described that if the main thing is to keep these workers at work instead of to keep them working,
Yeah.
whether it's remotely or whatever, and then that the loan would actually down the road would turn into a grant and would be forgiven.
Yeah, if they were to keep their employees for a certain length of time, I think it's like up until June or July, if they kept that at 100%, then a portion of that loan would turn into a grant, depending on how much of a loan they actually applied for.
That's good incentive. I mean, that's good incentive, yeah.
If
Yeah.
they can make it.
And like you said, yeah, a lot of the banks are working with them. So the first issue that when we first started looking at these SBA loans, we found out through Region 9 that a lot of these banks don't service SBA loans. This was prior to the CARES Act. So we were very concerned that there was going to be no banks around here to actually assist some of these businesses. But since the CARES Act, a lot of the banks have jumped on board. So we know that a lot of them are working with them, so.
All right, well, you're doing a very good job putting the
Yeah,
team
keep
together.
up the good work, Susan. You're going to benefit a lot of businesses in this area, so keep it up.
And I do see that meeting is tomorrow at 11:30, correct? As I'm scrolling.
About
through this.
11:30, yep,
So I will be on that also with that call.
okay,
Thank you, Susan.
thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll go to our county assessor, Leslie Bugg. Can you hear us, Leslie?
You skipped
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, did I?
That's
Oh, I'm sorry, the clerk and
Kim,
county
yeah.
clerk and recorder, Kim, I apologize.
She can go before me, I'm good with that.
Go ahead, Kim.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So, probably the first thing that you guys want to know is how the clerk's office is helping our customers. So I just wanted to kind of go over what we have going on in our office so that you're aware of it and the people in the county are aware of it. We have several different options. We have online services. Currently, the state has over 35 services available for people to do online for motor vehicle. That is under mydmv.colorado.gov. In the recording department, we're doing electronic recording. Vital statistics, birth certificates can be done through the Colorado Department of Public Health. We are also, and I'll go over our office options here in just a minute. In elections, you can do any type of voter registration, verify your registration, verify your affiliation, change your address under govotecolorado.gov. We are also helping our customers by phone. Phone number 565-3728. We are also taking fax information. Fax number is 564-0215. We have people that are mailing their documents into us, and our address is 140 West Main Street, suite number 1. But the thing that we're utilizing the most is our 24/7 ballot drop box. We are having people, basically what happens is a customer calls in, they kind of give us an overline of what they're looking for and what they're trying to do within the office. And then they will, if it's a motor vehicle transaction, we will get them an email address. They'll scan their documents to us, and then we will refer to them by email what's needed, what's any additional forms that are required. We'll work up an estimate on the cost of what they're going to do. Then we ask that customer to drop their documents into our Dropbox. We pick up the Dropbox randomly throughout the day, and then we process the transactions, and we mail them their whatever documents they're looking for, their titles or whatever. And we're doing that for birth certificates and everything in the office can be done basically through the Dropbox. Let's see. As far as my employees we are working in split shifts, which I think I've already discussed with you guys. Half of the staff are working Monday through Wednesday and a half a day on Thursday. And then the other half are working the other half of the day on Thursday and then working Friday through Sunday. We do have our office phones available Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, 8:30 to 4:30. So anybody can call us during those hours to see what we can do to help them. We currently have no options for the motor vehicle department to be working from home. The state's working on that, but I'm not sure if that's going to work or not. We also have one employee that is thinking about working more from home than in the office. So let's see. Do you have any questions on any of that?
And Kim, you have a couple, I think 3 of your employees working with planning and GIS and that reaching out to these businesses now.
That is correct. I have my recording department, and Melinda Fuller is working with the business partners. Melinda is the one that's going to be working from home, and she's going to be working on, I believe this morning her task was to call some of the local banks and get some contact information from them. So she is currently working from home.
Right. Any other questions, commissioners?
I have none.
Good job, Kim.
Yes, thank you
Thank
for
you,
the
Kim.
And then you've got your grant application in front of us.
Yes,
Yeah.
so the other thing I wanted to mention to you guys is we are still continuing with helping the municipal town of Dolores and the city of Cortez with their election. It is next week. With our ballot drop box being open, we have received some of their ballots, but just to let you know, those ballots are turned over to those municipal clerks and in a very safe way. They call us and we meet them at the door. So they are, we are going to continue with that next week. We can't very well stop it at this point. So that is continuing. The other thing that I'm really excited about this grant that we were awarded, it's $500,562.31. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's our digitization program. This will cover everything in the office except for the commissioner minutes. And we have a way to digitize the commissioner minutes at this point. So we're going to be working on that in a separate area. So basically, I think you guys have 2 copies of this, and I just need you to approve it and then sign both copies. They do have to be in ink. I can't do this digitally, which is kind of ironic if you ask me.
When we're digitizing everything, we can't digitally do it, huh?
No, can't. We have to have a written signature on these.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah. Hey,
So we
congratulations. That's great. That's great stuff, Kim. That's
Yeah,
great.
I'm excited about it.
Do we have that? We have that here, don't we, Kim? Your your grant acceptance.
Yeah, you've got 2 copies.
Yes,
of
you
it.
have 2
Good.
copies there.
Okay. We
So-
need John, do we need a motion to accept this grant? Do we need a motion to?
You do,
Okay.
and also, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I hear you fine.
So it's on, I think, page 2 or 3, is this, just the chair will sign it.
Sign it, right.
It's labeled page 2, but I think it's the 3rd page down, but yes, you do need a motion.
Right. Okay. Scroll that back up to the letter, would you, Shaq? I would like to move that the Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder's Office accept the grant amount for digitizing their records in the amount of $500,562.31 from the Electronic Recording Technology Board.
Second.
Motion and second to approve a grant in the amount of $562,031 from the Electronic Recording Technology Fund to the Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder's Office. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And Ms. Percell, I know that we're pretty much up to speed on digitizing the commissioner minutes, but just to let you know, if you didn't already know, that we have, I think, 100% of all commissioner minutes that exist, that we have on paper. We have already digitized those. So if you don't have those, my office has them, and we can get them to you.
Right, John, I think what we're working on is, for the public minutes that we have the attachments attached, that's what we were trying to digitize, was to include the attachments within them,
Okay.
so.
All right,
Okay.
anything else, commissioners?
I have nothing.
We look forward to when we're all back together again instead of remote like this, so.
I was just gonna tell you guys, I miss you, and y'all stay safe, please.
Yes, you too.
We miss you as well.
We miss your nuts and your sweeties.
Yeah. You could come in early.
Okay, County Assessor, Leslie Bugg. Oh, we couldn't hear you, Leslie.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
So I don't have much for you today, just a little update on how we are carrying out business and helping the public as well, like Kim spoke about. We pretty much are doing everything through email, mail, or fax. Our office is close to the public fully, but we're kind of in a low period right now with not a lot of traffic in the office, so it's worked out pretty well. Just so everyone knows, our mailing address is 140 West Main, Suite 3. Phone number is 565-3428. Fax number is 970-564-1247. And the main email we're using is mine, which is lbugg@co.montezuma.co.us. And then I'm just forwarding emails to the people that they need to go to. We are working a split schedule, the 50-50, so we only have 50% of our staff in the building at a time. And we're working Monday through Sunday, 7:30 to 6:30. And I only have 2 people that are working the 30-hour work weeks. Everyone else is on the 35. We have been issued a summarized report from the state that's giving us probably some different deadlines for a lot of our stuff coming up towards this part of the year and going clear through December for tax roll. Looks like everything's going to be postponed about a month out from the regular due dates that are in statute right now, just as a temporary to help people out. Other than that, just kind of business as usual in our new little world.
Leslie, this is Keenan Ertel. I have a question for you. Where do we stand on Kinder Morgan's, the lawsuit settlement payments on their back years? Where are we at with that?
We're receiving 2014 hopefully today if FedEx will deliver to us.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've emailed Mary Ellen checking on her health status, making sure she's healthy and everything else, but I have not heard back from her on where we're at with the remainder of the audits that need to be sent into Kinder Morgan.
Okay, so you're expecting 14 today? So that
Yes, we got notice from FedEx that they tried to deliver yesterday, but we were unable to find the slip to go pick up the envelope, so they're going to try it again today, and hopefully we get it today.
So
And that'll be 14's audit payment,
that will leave 15, 16,
and 17.
and 17 yet to go. Second question for you. You said your office is closed to the public?
Mm-hmm.
You're not having any public traffic in your office?
No.
Okay. So I guess I need to ask, what are you said your employees you're still working, all your employees full-time?
Mm-hmm.
They're still on?
Except for 2. There's 2 that went to 30-hour work week.
Okay.
And Leslie, how many of your employees are working on the economic recovery piece, working with the other group to start helping?
The whole admin side are helping that out, Shaq, and then my appraisers are finishing up all of the sales confirmations and doing our continual lists on getting all of the accounts updated for our reval for this next year.
Right.
I'm pretty sure that entire building, that annex is closed to the public with all 3 of
Yes,
these
we are.
sections in it.
All right, anything else, commissioners?
Nope. Okay.
I do have one thing. What amount is the 2014 that we are gonna receive in that payment? If we get it today,
Hold on, just the county itself?
the county itself,
Yeah,
not,
the
not
county.
with all of the other overlays on it, but just the county itself.
County General will be receiving $293,363.
What school district gonna be getting, 8 or 900,000?
$606,023.48. So the total payment for 14's audit was $1,227,052.
Okay,
Any other questions, commissioners?
no. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Next, our county treasurer, Ellen Black. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can't
Yes,
see you,
we
but we
can.
can hear you.
No, I look like that little phone.
You turn your camera on.
No, that's okay. It didn't, I don't think I did it right on my phone, but anyway, we'll just do it like this.
Okay.
Well, it's working great. You're really one of the
Good.
ones we want to talk about in the tax, delaying of the taxes. So go ahead.
Well, let's see. I just am going to reiterate what the other two already said about our building is closed to the public, but the public has been really understanding about using online to make their tax payments, calling in, using the phone. Kim has been awesome about letting us use her Dropbox for tax payments. And then, of course, they can mail them in. So this is not a slow time of year for us. It's a very busy time. So we're busy processing payments and trying to get the distribution out to the authorities because, unfortunately, they still have to have money too. And so, however, the state did waive the interest for first half payments through April 20th. I haven't heard anything about the full payment option, if they're going to extend that at all. I'm hoping they will, but they haven't touched on that yet. They have delayed our foreclosure processes. We're kind of at the option right now of those that have been in foreclosure can continue, but we're not opening any new foreclosures until after April 20th. So that'll be, I guess that's somewhat of a bright side for people. So I can't think of anything else. Oh, we're working 2 in office and 2 remotely, but I'm one of the 2 that's remote and I'm usually in the office. So anyway, we're trying to do the staff cut, but it's hard, but we're very busy and we do have a big enough area that they're, not close to each other at all. So that's good. So the next thing then on our agenda would be the schedule of receipts and disbursements, the 6-month report through December of last year. And I need to get that approved and signed by you guys.
Can I ask you, Ellen, we received from options for property tax relief, we received it from CCI, but it's about the current executive order that allows county treasurers to waive the delinquent interest for delinquent tax payments, and that expires April 20th. So we're under that order right now?
I think we approved it last week, and we went to the end of the month, didn't we? We went 30 days.
Okay, but so does that mean we actually have, can we go further than that then, or?
Well, we're waiting to hear from the governor what he's going to do there, because no, legislatively, we really can't change it unless he changes it, or they change it, actually. It's, it actually has to get voted on because it's all statute. So it is extended through April 20th, and that's all we can do. We can't make any, and we can't change it any more than that, I guess is what I'm trying to say, unless they do.
We extended it to 30 days, so it was till the 20th, which is what she recommended last week to us.
Okay. Anyway, so now we're on the schedule of receipts and disbursement, is that correct? Is that what you were asking?
Yes. Yep, that's where we are.
Commissioners, any questions about the,
Can you read that?
I'm looking, yeah.
It's somewhere. Oh, you got it.
Is this
Yeah.
it? I don't
Through
think this is the
December
right one.
31st. This is the last half, is it not, Ellen?
Correct. That's the end of 19.
Right.
This is social services. Not the right one.
I would move that we approve the Montezuma County Schedule of Receipts and Disbursements ending December 31st, 2019.
And I will second that.
Motion and a second to approve the schedule of receipts and disbursements for Montezuma County for December 2019. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Shaq, and then we also have one here for February,
Yep.
the month of February, correct?
The February payables will be in my report, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so that's, okay.
All right. Any other questions or for Ellen?
Ellen, just maybe you know, maybe you don't. How does it appear that the taxes are coming in this year? Are they coming in about like they have in years past, or do you see a significant slowdown in the tax receipts, or how's it going so far?
No, it actually looks pretty much like it always has in years past. So I think we're good there. There will be a few people that take advantage of not having to pay interest on that first half, and so they could split it then.
Yeah.
If they pay before April 20th, they could still split their payment, which may help out some of these businesses that have a large,
Large
tax
tax
burden.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it looks really good. Of course, have a lot more mail than we usually do because people are having to mail in or use the drop box, but they're also paying online, which is good, and we really are glad to have that option. So I think it's going to be about the same. I don't think that the authorities should look for too much difference in anything at this point. I think it's going to hit more, though, toward the end of April, and then,
Second half
of course,
might be a lot
further.
slower.
So
Yeah.
I'm hoping they'll extend that deadline, but I just don't know what they'll do.
Okay, thank you, Ellen.
Thank you, Ellen.
All right, thank you, guys. Have
All
a
right.
good day.
Have a good day. Next on the agenda,
Thanks.
we have the Southwest Memorial Hospital update with Tony
Sudduth.
Sudduth.
Mm-hmm.
Can
Morning,
you hear
Tony.
us, Tony?
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Normally I spend most of this report talking about our financials, but I'll just briefly talk about what we did through February. Obviously, we started off the year pretty good. It's been very solid. We're ahead of budget, and we continue to stay on. What do you mean by? I had a budget. And continue to see our cash come in the door, and we've been right on our targets. And then March happened, and from this point forward, it's a bit unusual circumstance, and that we're in the middle of a healthcare crisis right now, and basically we've seen our volumes pretty much plummet. So pretty much across the board, we are doing about 70% of our clinic visits over the phone right now, which fortunately with what's been put in place, we will get reimbursed for that. We're seeing our ER volumes just about cut in half right now, and our inpatient volumes are actually pretty low. We have not completely eliminated elective surgeries at this point. We still feel pretty good about what we're doing, obviously taking the necessary precautions, and basically leaving it up to the individual physician to make those determinations on what we continue to do. So we have about 75 of our staff working at home right now, working remotely, and so that's actually working out pretty well. The stimulus bill that was passed does have specific funds targeted towards hospitals. We're still trying to figure out exactly what that will be. There was originally, I was a little bit concerned that it was just going to be targeted towards expenses as a result of the coronavirus, but I learned yesterday that there is provisions that'll help offset some of the lost revenue. So we're trying to determine exactly what we need to do and focus on that. one of the provisions I have learned is that those will be available to those organizations that do not lay off their employees. So we're trying to make sure that we follow those guidelines and keep people involved as we can. So beyond that, I'm just going to open it up to questions from you and just let me know what you'd like to hear from this point.
Anything, commissioners?
I have one question, which is probably everybody's question, and I don't know if you can answer it or not, Tony, but as far as test kits, what do we actually have? What do you anticipate getting more? How are those trickling down to you, and what is your criteria for giving the test?
You know, our criteria still remains the same. Their specific criteria has been out there. Obviously, that's changing somewhat. There are some, you know, previously, basically, we were doing testing, and if someone had a positive flu test, then they weren't good for COVID. Those are revolving, are changing a little bit right now. We're not sure where that's going to go, but there's potential that we may do some additional testing along those lines. We still have several hundred tests available. The supply coming in is a little bit, we're just not exactly sure how that will flow. We're working on some potential alternatives along those lines. We are actually purchasing some equipment that we are not exactly sure when the timing of that will be that we'll actually get it. But when we're able to get this equipment in, we will have the ability to do rapid testing on campus, which would give us about somewhere around the 2 to 4 hour turnaround on the test results. And again, we're dealing with a company trying to get the equipment in. We think we're going to be able to get some priority in getting it, since we're the only person in the area that's looking to do the rapid testing. And so we'll know more about that. But our goal at this point is to expand the testing availability. It's just we're not exactly sure what the timing will be.
And Tony, just to clarify, test or no test, it does not determine how you are going to treat somebody presenting with upper respiratory distress at this point. So
that's absolutely true. Like I said, we've been operating for the last couple of weeks under the assumption that there was COVID present in the area. Obviously, on Saturday we confirmed that. You know, we are not in any way under the delusion that there is only one case in this county. We understand completely the reason that we've only had one case identified is the limited nature of the testing. We suspect there's actually a lot more out there. Fortunately, at this point, the severity of those cases haven't been great, but obviously that potential is there when you see what the number of deaths that's occurring as a result of this are out there. But yes, I mean, our assumption is that everybody walks in the door is potentially a COVID positive patient, and we treat everybody that way. And it would be in everyone's best interest if everybody did that. I mean, we still are very much focusing on the only way to stop this virus, the only way to keep it contained is through social distancing, stay at home unless you absolutely have to get out to get something. And that's going to be the only way we're going to contain it. And we think the reason we've not seen that major climb in the number of viruses right now is because of people are adhering to that. I think our numbers that we're seeing from our organization, the people that are not coming into our clinic, not coming to our ER, is that people are starting to take that seriously. We feel like we're probably still very early on. We're thinking the last numbers that we looked at, we're probably looking at a peak somewhere between mid to late April in this area. So we've got a long way to go before we're out of the woods with this.
Can you address how many beds are available, and if you feel like there might be a shortage?
You know, that obviously that's very much a possibility. If things get as bad as they possibly could, we will have an issue with the number of beds. We have the ability to expand up to 60 available beds. We're working with the other area hospitals on where we know that we have a limitation on the severity of the patients that we can take care of. So we're actually probably looking at a situation where Mercy or San Juan and Farmington, which can care for a higher level of care, or St. Mary's up in Grand Junction, that we would actually be a place where they could send some lower acuity patients to our organization. So we're trying to look at getting people into the appropriate setting to where they can be appropriately cared for. But even with that, and I know there's some planning going on in the county about making some optional or alternative type sites available, and certainly that we need to be prepared to do that.
Tony, just to move off of the COVID topic to the financial topic, I know you have some very stringent financial restrictions placed upon you by your investors and your bondholders. Have you had any discussion with them about how this whole COVID emergency might adversely affect your bottom line?
We have, and have made them aware that there's very much a possibility that we will see some downturn in our cash numbers in the short term, and they're aware of that. Obviously, they're going to be as flexible as they possibly can. I don't think anyone wants to add any additional stress on the healthcare system, and certainly not the banks. So they're aware, and we're in continuous talks with them, and we'll let them know if we start to see issues with the way our numbers are trending.
Because your daily on-hand cash is what, up in the 50s, 60s now?
If you exclude our debt service reserve, which with the change in the forbearance agreement effective January 1, we don't count that in our reserve, although that's about 12 days. We're at about 45 right now.
45. Yeah. Well, that's a great move from where you started. So
we've made some progress. We certainly have.
So, go ahead, Jim.
I know that you can't, with this whole pandemic going on, your estimation was 50 days by the end of the year. Is that, obviously, I don't think you'll hit that, but if we can maintain, do you think you can maintain where you're at today?
That's certainly our goal. We have a June 30 target, I believe of 40 days, and obviously we're already ahead of that, so we feel good about that part of it. And, we have to, what I've been stressing to everyone, because I can tell you we took some pressure from not internally and externally about why didn't we start shutting down services immediately. And regardless of what happens with the COVID, our goal has to be that we have a health system remaining when we get through this. And so we're trying to find that balance between what we can continue to do safely and, and not put our staff and our patients at risk. But obviously we've got to maintain the system when all this is over.
Very good, thank you.
Tony, we did something a little bit unusual today, and that is we scheduled a public comment right after your time to present so that we wouldn't inadvertently have to swing at any questions that should be directed to the hospital. I don't see any questions coming up on the YouTube stream just yet, but would you be willing to wait just a minute or so to see any of them pop up, and we can shoot those questions your way instead of us trying to pretend that we're the medical experts?
Oh, absolutely. I'm as available as long as you need me.
Thank you.
All right, well then, let's do that. Let's go to public comment. Shaq?
And we do have some public comment out in YouTube land, but nothing that pertains to the medical stuff yet. I'm trying to
Well, for the people
right
that are
stream.
watching, you will get the opportunity to ask straight to the CEO of the hospital. So if you want questions answered, this is the time to try and do it live.
I'm going to try to drag that screen over if my screens will cooperate so that the commissioners can see the feed. We were told this morning, if it'll quit jumping around.
Wow.
Jim said we could hear you. Lance McDaniel says, and Commissioner Ortel just walked out, Commissioner Ortel should stop touching his face so much. Keenan should have also washed his hands after blowing his nose. You're all leading by example. MB McAfee has a question pertaining to tiny houses, and we'll get back to that after Anthony's time. Chambers Task Force, Susan answered that. Does anybody in YouTube land have a question for Anthony Sudduth with Southwest Memorial at this time? If so, now's the time to get it into chat. How long do you want to give that, Commissioners?
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Would be ample
In case
time,
they're
so
typing a handful.
Yeah, yeah, 5 minutes.
I think we can give it 5 minutes.
I can live with 5 minutes also. So.
He's got the questions there on the.
Okay.
Pass it down to Bruce.
Thank you, Lance. I just washed my hands, so I appreciate you paying attention. I'm sanitizing them, Lance. Has anybody answered MB's question?
We were just gonna go, which one?
About the tiny houses, we're not there yet?
No, I think, as far as the tiny houses, that has to go through the process. And, that process will be able to be viewed virtually also, I'm assuming, just as we're doing now. And then questions will be able to be brought forth, and or emailed in.
Anything new, Shaq?
No,
Does it just pop up when?
I've reorganized the county's workforce 3 times in the last week and a half, so it's been new about every other day. If this is coming in, I'm not seeing it. Is anybody seeing any questions here?
I don't see anything.
I don't see anything, and I would like us to be respectful of Anthony's time. So.
Yeah.
Anthony, do you have any other questions for us? I mean, is there something that we need to be doing more to be helping you all? What is there? What else can we do, or ideas, thoughts?
Not that I can think of. I mean, like I said, I know you're working on the potential for an alternative site should this thing totally escalate. And certainly that's going to be a big help to get there. Again, you know, I put this out on Facebook on over the weekend. The biggest help the community can be to us and everybody in the community is listen to the guidance about staying at home and the social distancing, and is that's our only defense that we have to this virus right now. And so that's really what we're stressing, and hope people will continue to follow as we work through this. Only thing I'd say is obviously we're not getting a lot of questions now. We've been getting a very good response to our daily Facebook Live that occurs at 4:30 every day, led by Carrie White and Mark Myers. And I would encourage people to, if they don't have any questions now but do later, to follow up on that Facebook Live and certainly ask any questions then.
Thank you.
Okay,
Well, thank you, Tony.
Anthony.
All right.
Dexter Gill wrote in, I think he explained things so well that all questions were answered. Good job.
Good deal. Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
you have
Thank
a
you.
good rest of your day. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I guess we'll go to the, let's go to the county attorney report, huh?
Okay.
That'd be the next on our list.
Mhm.
Yep.
John, are you back on? There you are.
I'm on. Let me know if you're having any trouble hearing me or anything. Everything is
good.
still full
Sounds good.
functioning. I think it looks to me like the county is still hard at work, because I'm every day reviewing contracts from different departments, and we're getting core requests. Yesterday, we had a telephone conference with myself and all the other attorneys on our PAX case, just discussing deadlines. A lot of things got pushed back. We still have our same trial date in October, but as far as summary and depositions and pleadings that are going to be filed, everything is getting pushed back about 45 days in that case, at least. So I don't know if you guys wanted to talk about the Denver TV options today.
Yes, we do.
If you recall, several years ago, we got those petitions, a lot of them ready. We didn't start accumulating all the data, but I know that, at least in the news, that because of this emergency situation, that Denver TV has allowed La Plata County to get the stations. My assumption, although I'm going to look further into this, is that that's just for the emergency time, because La Plata had yet to come to a financial agreement with the Denver TV stations. However, I'm going to wait to get guidance from you all to pull the trigger on filing anything, but we are working on that right now. Naomi, I believe, is in the office right now compiling a lot of the stuff that we put together a while back, and I'm going to clean it up and just get it ready to go. So if you guys want to pull the trigger on that, we can. As far as the courts are going,
let's finish the discussion on the TV. I think we should go ahead and file it. Commissioners, what do you think?
Well, even if it's temporary, what you're saying is it's just through this COVID-19 before they negotiate the actual total overall agreement?
I think so. I need to double check. So the La Plata County, I think, wasn't willing to pay for what the Denver TV stations wanted them to pay, and so Denver didn't give them TV, even though the petition got through the FCC. And so my thought is that this is just gratuitous of the Denver TV stations to do this for La Plata County during the emergency. I don't know if that has anything to do with the FCC petition or not, like whether or not we would even need to file it, get that through FCC to even get this emergency temporary coverage until or unless Montezuma County negotiates with Denver TV some sort of financial contract. But my understanding of it previously was that the reason it's not in La Plata County, even though the petition got granted from the FCC, is because of money, and that's it. So, maybe Denver TV will give it to Montezuma County during the emergency without the FCC petition. Maybe they need the FCC petition. I don't see the harm in necessarily filing it. So I think it was Commissioner Supla that just suggested, let's go ahead and do it. I don't see the harm in that. We're not paying a bunch of money or negotiating any contracts right now.
And I would agree with that. I think filing it right now, even if it's temporarily, it gets our foot in the door to maybe make it to be extended for Southwest Colorado and specifically Montezuma County. So I would agree with Commissioner Supla that we go ahead and file that.
Yeah, I can agree with that also, but John, I would like for you to find out if La Plata County's reason for not having Denver TV is the money negotiation that you were referring to. I'd like some affirmation of that the reason the FCC has approved it, they gave them the green light, but I'd like to know what the financial complications might have been to that getting down there.
And then also,
I'm pretty certain that is it. I mean, the last time I checked with Nevada, that was the situation. Is that they were not coming to an agreement with how much money they should pay for it. And so, I guess what need further clarity on is that this is just a temporary thing, because I don't know that for sure, or whether Denver TV is saying, well, fine, it's an emergency, we're going to give it to you, and whether that's going to obviate the need to negotiate an agreement. I doubt it will. I'm guessing they're going to still hold them to that in the future, but I will find out more about that.
some people may not even be able to see what the governor is saying. I mean, they could relate to our governor as Michelle Lujan Grisham instead of the Colorado's governor.
Sure.
So
It's been that way forever.
right, I think this is the time to push it and see where we can possibly get to with it.
I think it was Commissioner Sukla last week asked about the courts and how they're functioning. And last week after our meeting, I think it was the 25th so maybe Wednesday of last week, our Chief Judge of the 22nd Judicial District, Judge Walker, issued a couple of orders. And if anybody's interested, they can look at those online. Essentially, they say that the court's operations are slowing down a lot. They're not, for the most part, they're not letting public into the courthouse. I do think they're still allowing but discouraging in-person filings. So attorneys and some other governmental departments access most of the pleadings electronically. But if you don't have an attorney and if you don't have access to a fax machine or potentially email, then people will usually walk up to the window and file pleadings. So they are still accepting those, is what I understood from that order. But I also have heard that the courthouse is closed, and so you might have to get special permission from the deputies. I don't know to get into the actual courthouse for that. The Supreme Court Justice issued an order that was already issued prior to our meeting last week that basically said that they're canceling all trials except for criminal trials that are up against the speedy trial deadline. Judge Walker, my understanding of the order he issued after that, says that no, they're canceling all trials, period, through May 15th. And so he's going farther than what the Supreme Court Justice said. And so my understanding of his order is that there will be no trials, period. If you're summoned for a trial for the next, I guess, 45 days from now, you do not need to go. So they've ramped down a lot of the judicial proceedings. My thought is that in the future there's going to be a logjam come fall or whenever it is that things get opened back up. So we'll just see how that works. As far as the proceedings that are continuing at the court, a lot of them involve what we do. Shelter hearings for children, emergency removals for children, family court things, mental health proceedings, anything that's considered an emergency. And so all those are fully operating as much as possible through video, through phone calls, those types of things. So not necessarily in person, but those proceedings are continuing. So I think that's it from me. Whatever questions you guys have, I'll field.
Any questions, commissioners?
I don't have any.
All right, thank you, John. We'll go to James Dietrich.
You all right?
Morris.
Stay away from me with that cough.
Yeah.
Good morning, James.
James, can you hear us?
I need to unmute James. Hang on a second.
You're sounding pretty good right now, James.
James, in the bottom left of your screen, you should have a red microphone with a line through it. If you could just touch that.
So that keeps happening in court as well. The judges are like, please unmute your computer.
You're good, James. Let's hear you talk.
So can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, very good.
Let me bring up your presentation because it's in PowerPoint and try to share it on a different screen. So if you give me 1 second.
Yeah, if you want to pull that up, Shaq, I can see it on my screen, so I'll just follow through that way.
Well, and I'll be able
I've
to
got my
share
other
it with
computer
you in a
open.
second. So let me.
Gentlemen, we're also supposed to have Susan Thomas with us today, and I don't know if Susan, are you out there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Good.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, so are we waiting just a second?
Yeah,
Shaq?
just 1
get the
second.
screen.
I'm playing with the electronic.
You know, we could probably let Susan go ahead and explain what she's here for while Shaq is trying to figure out the presentation.
Oh.
All right, go ahead, Susan.
Okay, hello everybody. I wish I could be with you. This is my first Zoom meeting, so I'll try to do it in an efficient way. A couple of weeks ago, through James, I sent a letter of request or a request to the commissioners for a letter of support to add McCalmo Canyon Road G to Trail of the Ancients National Scenic Byway. A new law was passed in December, or passed and then signed by President Trump in December, reopening the federal byway program. What it really does is allow people to either nominate a brand new byway, modify an existing byway, such as adding an extension, which is what we want to do, or other things, maybe go from being a federal byway to an all-American road. Well, as you know, McCalmo is probably one of the most used access points for Sand Canyon Trail, for Cannonball Mesa. It's the way to Hovenweep. We have wineries, we have bed and breakfasts, we have Airbnb, we have truck gardens and orchards, but it was never added officially to the byway because first of all, part of it wasn't paved way back when the byway was established first at the state level and then in 2005 as a federal byway. And then the monument was new. There wasn't a management plan in place. The facilities weren't really up to snuff, but those things have been rectified. So although this is really a formality, it's not really going to change the usage, the popularity. It will make it easier to for visitors to find their way. It helps to promote what we've got here, the mountain biking, road biking, the vacation stays, that kind of thing. So people in McCalmo Canyon are very eager for this because they'd like to be added in a clear, easily understandable way to really the only archaeological byway in the federal system. And as we all know, we've grown beyond just an archaeological byway. We have other things like the McCalmo Flume, and we have a lot of recreation. So I think there are many opportunities for us to further diversify as a byway down the road. But getting Road G from the intersection at 491-160 to the Utah state line would complete the travel route on our side of the border. Utah also has a Trail of the Ancients National Scenic Byway. Arizona has a tribal byway by the same name. New Mexico has a state byway. So eventually it would be wonderful if we all had the same status and we could become an all-American road as San Juan Skyway is. Doesn't really change the usage, doesn't really change the operation, but it's wonderful for economic development because it gives us much more public exposure. So I'm asking you for a letter of support referencing our meeting via Zoom today, and I guess I would say it's not a big change, but it's an important clarification.
Susan, so is 160, is 491 a scenic byway?
Trail of the Ancients, Colorado starts at Four Corners Monument, comes up through the Ute Reservation. Ute Tribal Park is one of the destinations, comes into town, heads east to Mesa Verde National Park entrance, then backtracks, goes north to Dolores, takes in the Galloping Goose Museum, backtracks a little, goes to what we used to call the Anasazi Heritage Center, then over to 491 north to Road BB, and from there to Lowry Pueblo.
Okay,
And
I guess
then,
my question
of course, you can get to
you're getting a
Hovenweep
little off
that
track
way,
for
too.
me. My question is would there be a gap in between the scenic byway by designating the McCalmo Road scenic byway?
It helps to close a gap in that that is really not the way to get to Hovenweep if you're looking at a byway map right now and you want to follow the byway. So it closes a gap on paper. It doesn't change anything, on the land. And it
Hold on. That brings another question. So on a scenic byway, isn't there stricter rules for signs? Am I correct?
Really, byways don't have any authority to regulate anything. I think byways commonly weigh in if there's a development issue or something else that affects the qualities for which they were established. In other words, if there was something going on that really scarred or changed the Mesa Verde entrance or changed Sand Canyon, and there was some kind of, a lot of, I don't know, commercial development or something right there in the parking lot, the byway would probably say, you know, we were established to celebrate these kinds of destinations. We don't want to lose anything with change, but byways really don't have any authority at all. It's more just a way of commemorating the route.
It was my understanding, though, I got to tell you, for me, I'm not going to feel comfortable doing this without talking to CDOT first, because it was my understanding, because of the byway designation, that there was more restrictions that CDOT imposed on their highways, and I would like to just confirm that. I would hate to see this designation be put on the McKelma Road, and then all of those private landowners have more restrictions, say that they want to expand their tomato growing farm or something like that, and they were not allowed to put a sign up because of the designation of the byway.
On private property, county rules apply. Now, you may be talking about 160. James was telling me there was an issue with the fairgrounds sign. That is an all-American road. That's also a federal road. Road G is strictly a county road. So the feds don't have any authority on it because it's basically your road. This is our first opportunity in 10 years to do anything to add to the byway, and there are no other scheduled opportunities. So of course, we're eager to take advantage of it, but we do need your support.
Okay, well, John, are you still on? Could you give us, do you know if all that would be correct, that all of our T's and I's have been dotted so that we wouldn't make a decision that could hurt our landowners in the future?
So sorry, I was on the phone with Naomi. Can you send me whatever paperwork there is? Because I haven't seen anything on it, and then I can tell you that it looks good.
Well, Susan,
I can send you a copy of the federal nomination form. We, Trail of the Ancients, Colorado, have never had any authority to say yes or no to anything. We try to make the destinations easy to find with signage, safe for parking. There are some that are ADA. We don't do that ourselves, but the federal agencies often try to do that where possible. So we're just trying to be able to show Road G on a byway map. That's essentially the most important part of this.
Well, actually, there's two sides to every coin. So I would rather that the public used the road BB or CC to go to Hovenweep, and not take, because if we do this designation, it would actually make that road is probably the unsafest road in Montezuma County.
One of the toughest to maintain.
And one of the toughest to maintain. And I would be very concerned that this destination would actually cause an unsafe factor in promoting more people to go down that road. We already know that the Sand Canyon is full. The parking lot, so it's not like we need more visitors there. It's already filled to capacity this time of year. Go ahead.
I'm going to weigh in just a little bit on this. I'm going to point out one positive possible benefit. When we go to looking, for example, the Federal Lands Access Program for grant monies to help improve a road, probably having a scenic byway designation helps you be a little more competitive if you're looking for federal dollars. It helps them to sort out which roads are most are the highest priority for them. So it probably helps to some extent from that perspective.
Well, I still would feel more comfortable. Why can't we wait a week? Why can't we have our lawyer look into this and make sure?
We can wait a week. We don't have to approve anything right now.
I'm trying to right now too, just to see what, if any regs or where this is written into law. But Susan, if you don't mind sending me, I guess, the letter of designation, that might help me get going on research too.
Okay.
I would be happy to call. Sorry, Susan.
Sorry, back.
Go ahead.
Zoom etiquette.
Yeah, go ahead, James.
I would be happy to place some calls to CDOT and Federal Highways Department to see if there's anything that they can tell us about any restrictions that are associated with this designation.
That would be great.
That would make me feel more comfortable, because that was part of that map that we just created to send to CDOT a month ago with that meeting that we had to them, and for that flat funding. So I don't.
Yeah, that's correct. And that's kind of why I was thinking that this it could be relevant to flat funds and stuff.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Susan. We're going to delay and just make sure that we have all the knowledge that we need to make sure we make the right decision. So we'll put you back on next week if that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Can you get the letter from Susan and forward it to me?
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, Susan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, James, continue.
Okay. The first thing is I'll go over a little bit of a report from the U.S. Forest Service. The U.S. Forest Service reports they've made a decision to delay the opening of McPhee Reservoir at the main McPhee ramp until after April 30th. And that's, of course, in order to reduce the risk of the COVID-19 exposure to the public and staff who work the ramp, including the ANS inspection program. They're also going to close the developed campgrounds and popular access sites across not only the San Juan, but all the forest in Region 2 to try to keep group sizes at a minimum. That'll be through April. And even though through April, the use at McPhee is pretty low, the decision to delay the opening was really to decrease the risk of inspectors. But they're gearing up and fully expect to have a full season after that. They also want to make a note that all the shore access and other parts of the forest that have dispersed recreation access are fully open, and they encourage people to use those areas versus any place where there's a congregation point. I wanted to give you an update on the breakwater. It appears that over the winter we had a storm and the breakwater broke up. And the report I heard is that it's floating in 3 pieces at this point, and it may have a big twist in the middle. I haven't been able to go out there and evaluate the condition, and I don't think the Forest Service or anybody's actually launched a boat to get out there and look it over yet. But that's on their list, and they're hoping to get out there as soon as possible to evaluate it. So that could be a potential problem for them. That thing's a behemoth, and it's just really hard to actually put that thing back together in the water. So we'll wait for a full report on that. It does appear that the local parks and outdoor recreation grant that we applied for additional breakwater was not successful. They told me from the start it wasn't going to be a very competitive grant. I decided to go ahead with it anyway. There weren't really any other options available at that point. We did get one community project funded out of that round of grants. The Joe Rao Park was funded. So we'll continue to look for, I think there may be some federal dollars opening up for a new cycle, so we'll continue to look for dollars for the, to continue the breakwater project.
So on that note, James, the breakwater, if I owned the marina, I wouldn't stick it out there if I didn't have a break. So would the Forest Service be willing to put it where the marine operators always wanted it at House Creek, and then the breakwater would be unnecessary?
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility. I mean, I think all these things should stay on the table. Obviously that main launch ramp is just, like the worst place you could have picked on the lake for a launch ramp. And, in that big island out there, they blew it there because all that's filled. They could have easily just pulled that over to the main launch ramp and created a real breakwater. Yeah. Kind of too late for that now, too. So I'm with you, Larry Don. I think, just to topographically, we've got better locations on the lake that maybe we're going to eventually have to really get serious about examining.
So you're thinking move it over to the House Creek or in that?
Well,
in that cove,
once
that
you're in the cove, it's just like Lake Powell. I mean, you know, this isn't rocket science. All of you go to Lake Powell and you go to all Lake Mead, Havasu, they put the marinas in protected coves. So
Yeah, this may be the time to finally pull the straw with the Forest Service and say, look, we've played this game long enough with you over there at that McPhee Marina site. You've lost the breakwater that we built for you. It's gone and destroyed, and you do not have the money to replace it. You say you don't have the money to help us do it. So it's time now to move a marina over to a cove where we don't have to do a breakwater. It's time to let that marina operate where it should operate. I'm for that 100%.
Okay, sounds like we're going to have to start engaging in some conversation with the Forest Service on this, and we'll continue to advance it then.
All right.
Okay, unless there are any other questions on Forest Service, I'll move on to BLM. Okay, so the BLM is reporting, I think we're already all aware, the Canham Visitor Center and Museum are closed. The BLM was also recommending everybody to use dispersed recreation sites and to keep group size to a minimum, avoid congregation points. So far, I have not heard that they're closing any campgrounds, but their recommendation is again, to use dispersed recreation if we can. The BLM is also planning to work on several parking lot expansions and improvements, and you can follow most of those through the BLM draft management plan. They're all identified in that already. Most of these are existing facilities that they're looking at expanding. They're doing some kind of a modification to. But for example, it'd be like Painted Hand, Chutes and Ladders, possibly down County Road 41, and also down up north of Mancus there at Aqueduct. So what BLM has offered is that if we want to have any input early on with that they loved what we did to help them out down at Sand Canyon, and would like to continue working with them, with us that way. I'm certainly open to doing that, and I'll try to provide any kind of assistance we can. I think it's in the county's interest to really get the best product we can out of whatever happens on the landscape. If there are any other questions about BLM, I'll take them now, otherwise we'll move on.
Yes, go ahead, James.
Okay, so to catch up on the Paz de Mesa Verde, we're currently coordinating with CDOT to make sure that we can allocate the MMOF funds by extending the contract with their existing engineering firm. The regional CDOT office is asking for concurrence from their higher-ups, and also asking for concurrence from SWMH to make sure that we're doing everything within the federal guidelines and don't jeopardize any of our funding. OTAC is currently working on the Cortez side. Our objective is to move forward to get it to, through the first design step, which is really to get the LIDAR and survey work done. We're working through a contract extension with a local surveyor. We were originally using Souter Miller. They are no longer with us, and so now we're trying to extend a contract with another surveyor. It is the surveyor who was working for Souter Miller. He's gone out on his own, and so we'll continue to try to make sure we network with locals first. We've also lost our right-of-way specialist. Catherine Fulton has retired, and so to meet all of our requirements, we'll have to have a CDOT certified right-of-way specialist. So we're currently looking for somebody that's qualified on the Cortez side for that. Got a few names in Durango we can always pull on if we can't find anybody in Cortez in Montezuma County. So anyway, they're working to get all that together. We'll try to advance that, and I should have that contract rewritten here by the end of the week, and hopefully we can address that next week. Some of the things that we're looking at through the survey work, and this is stuff that we're just going to have to get done. We'll be looking for all the CDOT information for Highway 160 from Cortez to Mesa Verde, including location of all the present monuments and along the entire right-of-way in its entirety. And we'll be doing the research that we need to ascertain what the ownership is of all those parcels. I am aware of a parcel or two on the Cortez side that never did get their ownership resolved through CDOT's right-of-way process. And that's already been pointed out to us, so we will look at trying to rectify those problems. So beyond that, it will be setting up LiDAR targets and getting everything set up for the flight data acquisition. And then they'll start to acquire that data and start to process it.
Well, so James, also, I guess we have a plan that as soon as we have a new city council, to have them engaged in this process as well, since it's on the Cortez side, one. And two, do you have any information on the $4.5 million?
So we have, yes, we have not heard the final word on the 4.5 million yet. So I'm still kind of really anticipating that. With regards to the engagement with the city council, we'll make a presentation to those guys and make sure everybody's caught up.
Okay.
Because Cortez is definitely, a critical partner on this side.
Correct.
Okay, gentlemen, if we still have time, and there are no further questions, I'd like to move on to a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, go ahead. Proceed.
Okay, hopefully you can all see it here, and I'll try to follow along on my screen. The first slide is representing the Boggy Glade OHV route extension analysis. So what we see in green is the existing Boggy Glade loop route for the OHVs. What we have laid over the top of that is the county road map, and that's shown in orange. All those routes are. In addition to that, we've laid over information that I've pulled down from a variety of sources, BLM, Forest Service, USGS, but essentially we're trying to identify what the existing roads are out there. Some of these roads are part of the system. Some of these roads are roads that have been captured in GPS. They're mapped. We know they're out there. They may not be open. So what we did is we followed the original concept of trying to link together existing routes. And it does appear that we can run from the existing OHV route in green, following the magenta line. There are existing routes that take you all the way over to McPhee Dam. And essentially what they do is they skirt the heads of those canyons on the north end of the lake. They're not associated with County Road or with Forest Road 514, although that would be an option, obviously. If they just allowed OHVs on that road, then, we've already got a route. However, this is a separate route from Forest Route 514, and it would be specifically for OHVs. You'll see there's some places where there's some convergence on some of the minor roads down closer to McPhee Dam. But essentially my message is yes, there is a route all the way from the existing loop all the way to McPhee Dam. We can ask the feds if they would be willing to analyze this in association with the OHV expansion for the loop.
So it goes into Dolores County right there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Across the line.
And yes, I thank you for pointing that out. It does go over into Dolores County, and we would certainly want to coordinate with them 100% on this. But at this point, I'm just pointing out that there does appear to be a track. We can begin all the discussions at this point.
All right.
Good.
Well,
Very good.
Okay, we'll go on to slide 2. And so what we have here, I'm trying to do an inventory of all the potential public right-of-way that we can think of. So I'm going to lead you through the process on this. So we started off here with Montezuma County boundaries. We've got the public lands that are identified on that map. Okay, and from there, go to slide 3. And what we do is we essentially add all the Montezuma County roads. We add a road map to it. So you can see all the federal lands are indicated by roads that are colored orange. Okay, and so we want to build upon that a little bit. And so what I've done is I've added all the other road data I could possibly find, which includes all the infrastructure roads, all the non-infrastructure roads, the complete data set that I can find. I laid that over it. And I'm looking for correlation between our current roads and what we're seeing from that giant road layer. We'll move on to slide 5. In addition to that, since some of those roads are probably also converted trails by this point, I've added all the trails layers. Trails can also be a public right-of-way, so it was important to also evaluate those. So those are also all indicated on the map. And as you can see, there's there are quite a lot of roads. Now again, the scale of this map, I have to enlarge those roads so they look much larger than what they are on the ground, but there are a lot of roads. We'll go on to slide 6. And with slide 6, what I'm doing is I'm digitizing, or actually I took a map that was already digitized. So this is the 1927 Montezuma National Forest map. And I'm using that as kind of a baseline. First of all, it was already digitized, so it slid in easily to our data. But I'm taking a look at that data, and I'm comparing the old map to what our existing routes look like. And that's on slide 7. So as you can see, there's definitely some overlay. It lines up relatively well. As we start zooming in on that, we can get a better look on slide 8 at what things are looking like there. So again, our current roads are identified by the orange. We've already made some public right-of-way claims, so I threw those on there. Those are in turquoise. And as you can see, there's still a lot of roads back there. They're one shown on the 1927 map, as well as what we see from our roads layer. So I'm going to go through and start sorting those out. What I've come up with, and this is shown on slide 9, shown in kind of purple, and that shows roads that are shown on the 1927 map that are also shown on our current roads layer. Okay, they don't line up exact, as you can kind of see. So what I'm going to try to do is work through those and pick the current roads that seem to line up the best. And so we do that, and then slide 10, let me see. Okay, so slide 10 shows in blue the roads that seem to line up the best with the roads that were on the 1927 map. Okay, and so now I'm going to move on because I realize that some of those roads that were shown on the 27 map have probably become roads in the past, 80 years. And so that means that they were probably shown as trails on the 27 map. And indeed, you can see where the circle is. That's a good area where there were a lot of trails shown on the 27 map. And then if you start adding our data back in there, on map 12, you start seeing that, yeah, indeed, there are a lot of roads, and some of them do probably correlate with the 27 data, but not exactly. So in slide number, 14, you can see where our road layer does seem to correlate with what's underneath on the 27 map, the dashed lines. But it's going to take a little bit of work to go through all the trails and make sure that we get those to all kind of correlate exactly with the route that it seems like it should correlate with. And again, in slide 14, we see all the roads layer that's available. So it's going to take a little bit of work to sort those out. But I am working on that. Okay, and then this is the last slide. I've gone through the same process out there on Canyons the Ancient National Monument. The roads that you can see in turquoise are roads that appear to show up on a 1976 USGS quad map or before. And so that was the slightly different criteria for BLM as far as public right-of-way goes. As we understood it, anything that was on a map as of 76 should qualify on BLM lands. And so that indeed is what we've picked out. And as you can see, a good number of the county road maps do correlate with those RS2 or potential RS2477 routes. Some of them do not, but we've identified the ones that have shown up on the 76 map. I had a little bit of help on this in the past, so this was a process of going through it and confirming that all of them were indeed on those maps. So I feel pretty good with everything as far as roads on Canyons and Ancients. Trails are another question. If we get any more data out there on that, we may have to do some more research on that. The final map kind of shows you everything that we've got so far that we think stand a high likelihood of possibly being public right-of-way. And that's highlighted in the blue at the west end on Canham, in yellow on the Forest, and in turquoise, those are the roads and trails that we have already said that we feel are public right-of-way.
Okay.
So that concludes that presentation. And I just wanted to give you guys kind of an idea of where we're at with this and what the process looks like. And so right now I've got a pretty good inventory going. I will tap into Rachel to help us sort some of this out, because right now it's all kind of one big spaghetti bowl. And so what I really need to do is create a separate record for each one of these roads. And hopefully with some of her GIS talent, we'll be able to integrate some of those tables and hopefully automate some of that. Anything we don't automate, we'll have to just do it by hand.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
All right, James, thank you.
Do
you have anything else?
No, gentlemen, that concludes my presentation.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very well done.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
So, at this time, we have Chairman Hart here. How are we? Should we go straight into that presentation? Shaq, what is
We can.
So, I mean, we can, the press isn't going to call in till 11:30.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So we got 15 minutes. Do we need to do a 15-minute break? Do we have some other?
Can we knock all of our reports out in 15 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why don't we go ahead to the county administrator's report then?
Okay, first of all, during the meeting today, Melissa Bruner emailed me, wanted to let the commission know that the school system did deliver 450 meals yesterday to the children that are out of school during this time. So
450.
The whole school
450
system, RE1?
RE1, yes.
RE1.
That's just her school district. It doesn't account for Mancos
and Dolores.
I also need to bring up the
And they're
February
doing that.
payables.
They're doing that every day now until the end of the school year. Is that what their plan is?
That
or?
is my understanding, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
That's my understanding at this time, correct. The other thing that I need, I have sent you all 2 weeks in a row the February payables, although the first time I did it was the night before. So have you looked over and had a chance to review those?
All right, commissioners, any thoughts on the payables?
I had no questions on the payables, so I would move that we accept the financials for the month of February 2020 in the amount of $1,227,994.83.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the financials for Montezuma County for the month of February 2020 and the amount of,
It's on your screen.
oh, makes it even easier, $1,227,994.83. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Then I wanted to let the commission know too, we have in our revolving loan fund $106,000 roughly, give or take, that was designed by commissioners in the past to be able to loan out to small businesses. I have talked to Laura Lewis at Region 9 and about having Region 9 let us use their loan application process to start making that $100,000 available to local businesses. She got over a draft MOU of how that could work, where the BOCC could be the deciding board on how the loans get distributed. They would charge a $150 closing fee, and then we could start by making that $100,000 available for small business reliefs. John Baxter made comments and got them back to Region 9, and they're in the process. So next week I will have Region 9 on the agenda to discuss how we can free up that $100,000 to go to these businesses that are in need.
Commissioners, how do you feel about
Well,
that idea?
that's a very possibility, but I thought we had 150,000 in that revolving loan fund. Did we take?
We haven't taken anything out of it. I could get you the exact amount
Yeah,
before
I believe
then.
there's around 150,000 in there, but irregardless.
Irregardless, it's around 100,000,
Okay.
but.
All right.
So
Commissioner
then,
Candelaria, you
that
think
would
that's-
go to our local businesses in Montezuma County.
Correct.
And then with our
They would
approval-
be able to apply for it, and then you would be the deciding board on the businesses that get it.
Sound like a good plan?
Gosh, I think that's gonna be quicker than waiting 3 to 4 weeks if somebody's in dire straits
Right,
than
the
getting
SBA.
something through the SBA. Because that is I think it's gonna be a longer process than coming directly through us. So I think it was set up at one time, it's never been used, and this is probably the time to
put
set
to
it,
use, yep.
to set it forward.
Yeah.
So yes.
So I'll have them on the agenda next week, and that concludes my report.
Good, thank you.
Wow.
Well, we got a schedule.
Okay, Commissioners report. Commissioner.
Yeah, I listened to the governor's speech at noon yesterday, talking about what's going on at the state level and the efforts and what's being done to try and get this COVID-19 slowed down and making sure that everybody, the state's on board. And he talked about the schools, the restaurants, and the bar closures. Traffic on the interstates and highways is down 60% from what it was prior to. He had a Dr. Moss come on board that was a very interesting doctor. He's with the Anschutz CU Medical Complex and an infectious disease. He said that the coronavirus becomes an ARDS, which is an acute respiratory distress syndrome, and that's where when the COVID-19 goes into the ARDS, then that's where they battle keeping people alive. That's when they go on ventilators, and when you're in that acute respiratory distress syndrome, that's where they have their biggest challenge in trying to get people over this illness. Prior to that, a lot of treatments, a lot of things are successful, and a lot of people recover from it. But if it moves to that, and the governor left us with kind of an interesting religious philosophical about faith, hope, and love. And it was very interesting. I put those two together, or those three principles together out of the Bible about how we're going to endure and survive this coronavirus deal. And I took away from that probably his most succinct statement was that's how we're going to deal with all this. So after that, I had a Workforce Development Board webinar trying to get the Department of Labor and the Unemployment Compensation Insurance Compensation Fund to expedite and speed up getting funds to people that are unemployed and refining and relaxing some of the paperwork that goes in those applications, knowing that we're in an emergency situation and a lot of people are needing money and have lost their jobs and need to get those funds to them as soon as possible. And then the other one was a phone call to Congressman Tipton about the FCC and getting our application in to try and get Denver television here, and we've already discussed all that. So that's been about it for me. And also I was on Karen Dixon's yesterday afternoon, her information meeting and all the stakeholders that were involved in that, and she's doing a very good job of coordinating and keeping all the players at the table and letting them know what the process is. So she's doing a good job.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Urtel. Commissioner Candelaria?
And I would actually echo and agree with everything that Commissioner Urtel just said. Obviously, our meetings that we've been typically going to have ceased to exist, other than they're going all through Zoom and or teleconferences. I also talked to Congressman Tipton yesterday in regards to the same thing as far as the Denver television. So I hope that we can put some pressure on those people and get that done down here. I will be working with the local chambers and moving forward with them and their program and their task force to hopefully help and get some relief to our local community businesses and members that need it the most. And then just trying to stay on top of everything with what's happening with the governor, what the mandates are coming down from the state, and just here locally. That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
I had one other
ahead,
item that I would like to mention, and this is for everybody out here that's watching the program today. Dr. Ken Aiken contacted me a day or two ago, and the Hospital Foundation, Tony Sudduth mentioned this morning that they're trying to purchase a testing machine that will give them results within a couple of hours on testing for this COVID and other infectious illnesses. It won't work just for COVID, but certainly work for that, where they can go from several days to a week of getting results back on tests to a couple of hours, which is going to really, truly enhance their ability to get a grip on who is a COVID case and who is not. Dr. Aiken is working through the Hospital Foundation, and the hospital has gone ahead and trying to order, and they're going to get this machine in. But it's a high dollar machine. I think it's in the vicinity of $100,000 for this machine. So the Hospital Foundation is working to try and get the public to help get donors and the public involved through the foundation to give the hospital some money, some help in paying for this machine to get it in here. So he's already got some people on that list. They're looking for more. So if any of you out there that are watching this program today have the wish and the desire to help our hospital become more effective in testing for not only the COVID-19 infectious illness, but all other infectious illnesses, and get rapid testing done so you know exactly what you've got within a matter of a couple hours. Please consider getting in touch with Dr. Kent Aiken or the Hospital Foundation or the hospital period, and letting them know what you might be able to help contribute to this cause. So,
Commissioner, do you know that it's a for sure thing that they have it? Do they need any support from the commission, from the surrounding?
I think the Hospital Foundation will take financial support from any entity that wishes to give them finance, and it's going to go to help the hospital defray the cost of this $100,000 machine, this testing machine, because as we know, and you all know, and we all know, the struggles our hospitals had financially. They're now into this period of Tony Sudduth told us today, their revenue since the beginning of March have taken a real hit.
Sure.
Everything has gone kind of upside down on them. So, but they're committing to get the machine for the benefit of the community and the benefit of finding out who has COVID-19, who has other infectious illnesses, and getting those test results done in a very short order of time instead of days and weeks. They're going to be able to get it done rapidly. So.
What I'm getting at is if that would seem like it would be something that everybody would want. So
I would think so.
Do we need to have a letter of support from the community for them to receive it, or does it look like they're first in line to receive it as long as the funding is available?
Yeah, they're not certain when the delivery of the machine will be, but they're negotiating. Tony thinks they have some leverage simply because of our location and the proximity that we have. We're in a poorly located place to get test results and things back into us, that he thinks that will weigh in. And they're thinking that it might be a couple of weeks before they can even get delivery on the machine once they've got it ordered, they've committed to it. But what the Hospital Foundation is trying to do is to raise funds, donations from the community and for businesses or anybody that's willing to contribute money to this to help defray that cost to the hospital that's purchasing it.
So I think, which obviously everybody that can contribute would be awesome and great, but maybe we could have a Zoom meeting set up with us, Dolores, Cortez, Mancus, maybe even the Ute Mountain Tribe, and see if we can't maybe come up with a bigger possibility of a collection for them also to defray those costs. I would definitely be into trying to set up that as quick as possible to help our hospital, and it helps all of our people. If we can get tested,
It's going to help everybody.
It'll help everybody in the entire community.
And in the future, then they will have that testing equipment that will test for them anytime on any kind of infectious, whether it be flu or any other type of illness.
So who would be the lead for more details? Would it be
probably Dr. Aiken?
I would say Dr. Aiken, Ken Aiken.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And I may have a meeting scheduled with them tomorrow.
Good. Yeah.
If it gets scheduled, or Thursday.
Okay.
So I can ask them at that point in time.
Task force.
Good.
Okay, well, I tell you, I've been doing the same thing as you gentlemen. We've been having virtual meetings every day. Been fortunate enough to listen to what's going on at the Ute tribe, and boy, is there a lot going on at our sovereign nation to the south of us. And so that brings up it's 11:30.
And could I just ask those journalists that have called in, could you let us know who's on the phone, please?
I think with the format, if that's okay.
So this is Kelly Turner from KRTZ.
Okay.
Right, thank you, Kelly.
I see a Mark on there. Mark, are you on the phone? I see a Mark, but I don't hear a Mark. And I know Jim Mimiaga, I believe, is trying to get in at this time.
Apparently this is something that you can see that we can't see.
I can't see anything.
That's what I'm seeing. We may be waiting on a couple more to call in. Mark, are you there, Mark?
Yeah, do you know, so do you have any idea how many was going to come on?
I know Daniel Rizel from KSJD has been invited. I know Jim Mimiaga from the Journal has been invited. And somebody just got on CO. I'm not sure who that is. So if you're on the phone, could you identify yourself, please?
We have an MC, KT, which is Kelly Turner. What about, who's CO? Can you identify yourself?
There's 7 invited. Well, we'll do it with we can give it a couple minutes and then do it with whoever's there.
Go
Yeah,
till
let's do that.
11:35,
Yeah.
and then we'll go. Okay.
Oh, wait.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, can you identify who this is? We heard you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear you.
who are
Can
you?
you, maybe you can't hear me. Can you identify yourself, please?
Could you please identify yourself?
So apparently they can't hear us.
Well, Kelly Turner can hear
They
us.
can probably hear us.
Well, why wouldn't they respond?
So bear with us while we play with our technical
Mark's got a
difficulties.
muted microphone. Caller CO's got his on.
Well, why don't we, I'll explain what we're going to do here. What we're going to do here is we're going to give you an update.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? This is Jim at the Journal.
Yes, thank you, Jim. We
Yeah.
can hear you.
Yes, Jim. So what we're going to do is we're going to
Can you hear me? This is Daniel at KSJD.
Yes, we can hear you. Thanks you for calling in. Is there anybody else on the line that, if you're on the line?
So I'm hearing KSJD and Jim from the Jim on my end. I don't think the county can hear you though.
Say that again. You don't think what? Oh,
Kelly Turner said he could hear Jim and Daniel, which is also who we heard.
okay. So I'm being told that there could possibly be a delay, a slight delay. Did Jim tell you that he can hear us? Is he watching it live? Kim, can you hear us? I think I seen a yes.
Yes. Sorry, I was on mute. But yes, I can hear you.
So we have about a 30-second.
But Kim and I are zoomed in, and so we're using different audio and video than, unless the Journal people are using Zoom as well.
No, they are on GoToMeeting, so they can be on the phone.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's give an update from the Ute Mountain Tribe, the Montezuma County. Then we will, and first of all, welcome Chairman Hart. We really appreciate you coming up to give us an update on what you're doing for your people. And then we'll open it up if the reporters would like to ask any questions of the five of us. You could do that at the end, but why don't we start off on thanking you for being here, Chairman Hart, and give the county an update of kind of what you got going on. And I know you got a lot, so.
Okay, if everybody can hear me okay. Good morning to everyone. Today, I am the Ute Mountain Ute Tribal Chairman, Manuel Hart. The Ute Mountain Ute Tribe is working to protect our tribal reservation in this state of emergency. That includes all our tribal lands in Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico, including our communities of Toyac and White Mesa, and the non-trust lands and allotments owned by the tribe. Due to the impacts of the COVID-19 coronavirus, the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe is committed to ensuring the safety and healthy and welfare of the Ute Mountain Ute tribal members and affiliates reside in the communities of Toyac and White Mesa. I am honored to come here today to make a public announcement on behalf of the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe and our tribal council. On March 3rd, 2020, I was in Salt Lake, Utah to meet with the governor of Utah. It is our annual caucus meeting with the 8 tribes of Utah. Each tribe addresses their concerns to the governor and his staff for a government-to-government caucus meeting to better understand our tribal and state relationships. One of the questions I asked the governor was, how is the state of Utah going to help the tribes with COVID-19 coronavirus? The governor's response was, we really can't help you at this time. Tribes are on their own. Maybe I was premature in asking that question of the state because our federal government was not ready either. So the federal government was still behind in helping with legislation and funding to help all states and tribes. And we just recently had that legislation passed where $2 trillion was passed by the federal government. So we as the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe created our emergency preparedness plan for the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe. We have never had one in place. We looked at other plans and templates. We had our vice chairman who had experience with these type of preparedness plans from his experience in wildland fires, just as I had some experience in wildland fires too. We have council members who have also had some experience in planning events. Our tribal council stepped up to the plate and took this responsibility to do their part to help the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe to prepare and save lives. The Ute Mountain Ute Tribe created 4 stages to help our tribal members understand what was happening around us. Stage 4 was when we recognized COVID-19 was in the United States. Stage 3 was when we had confirmed cases in our states, and that was Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico. Stage 2 was when we had confirmed cases in a county next to ours. And stage 1, which we are currently in right now, is when we had a confirmed case within the counties that our tribal lands are in. Ute Mountain Ute Tribe has a land base of 6,000 acres of land expanded into 3 states. Our lands are in Colorado, Utah, and New Mexico. Our population of enrolled tribal members is 2,041. Ute Mountain Ute Tribe is the largest employer in Montezuma County. And at this time, we've been asking for help for helping these employees that we had to furlough up to the point of April 8th. After that, they'll probably be laid off, but we're looking at refunds through this stimulus package that's been set out by Congress of the $2 trillion. These are the events that brought us to implement our emergency plan. On March 5th, Colorado had its first confirmed case. At that point, we went into stage 3. On March 12th, started talking to the tribal council to start planning as soon as possible. On March 13, we met with all employees and aired it live on our tribal channel. At this time, we had the declaration of emergency for the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe. On March 16th, the governor closed all public schools in Colorado. Ours was the RE1 school district in Montezuma County. On March 17th, the tribal council met with the elders of the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe to explain COVID-19 coronavirus and what it is. On March 18th, we closed the casino and hotel down. On March 21st, we announced we were moving into stage 2. There was a confirmed case in San Juan County, New Mexico, which was a county next to us. At this point, we implemented for both communities of Toyac and White Mesa a stay-at-home advisory through a tribal announcement at 10 a.m. We also put in a curfew, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. We also put in checkpoints on the main roads going into Toyac and White Mesa that evening. Around 5 p.m., the governor announced his stay-at-home advisory for the state of Colorado. On March 27th, we announced we were moving into stage 1. We had a confirmed case in San Juan County in Utah. Our tribal lands are within the county for the community of White Mesa. Ute Mountain Ute Tribe closed its tribal government down due to the safety of our employees and our tribal members. We are still in a stay-at-home advisory. We have changed our curfews for both communities from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We closed all other access roads coming into both communities. We have checkpoints that are still in place. Only tribal members that reside and community members will be accessing the communities of Toyac and White Mesa. So on March 28th, there was one confirmed case in Montezuma County. We also had 2 confirmed cases with our sister tribe, Southern Ute Indian Tribe. Our world is facing something unimaginable of a medical pandemic for all of mankind. As scientists race to find a cure and a process to identify confirmed cases in a process within a shorter time frame for confirming cases. We also face shortages of medical supplies, medical staff, and medical facilities. Even though COVID-19 is within the Montezuma County and all around us, we have to work together as the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe and the county and the state of Colorado. We are here to save lives and protect the residents in the Montezuma County and southwestern Colorado. If we each take the responsibility of staying at home and encourage others to do the same, and each home should implement in their homes a mandatory safe hygiene process. Practice safe distancing between each other 6 feet or more if we are out at the stores within the cities that we have, Cortez, Mancos, Dolores. We need to take things seriously and adhere to some of the basic guidelines. We have not even reached the peak of this virus in our country. It is still climbing, and it is anticipated to be around Easter weekend that we might reach this peak. So I ask, are you ready to save lives in your individual homes? And is there hope and support from one another in our homelands here in the southwestern Colorado? In the history of the United States, we have lost a lot of lives right here within our country, even in U.S. soils. So let's take a step back, take a look at our history. The Civil War, brothers against brothers, took the most lives. The wars of the United States government against the Native people, the attack on Pearl Harbor, and the attack on 9/11 New York and Washington, D.C., which I was at in Washington, D.C. during 9/11. Now we are in another war, trying to save lives here in our country. This enemy, we can't even see it. It's an invisible enemy, and today it is right here within our community and in our county and all around us. We must take this seriously. COVID-19 coronavirus is right outside your door. I ask all of you to listen to this announcement, to follow the stay-at-home order. Limit your trips to the store. Practice social distancing when you go to the store. Set a curfew in your own homes. Implement a mandatory safe hygiene protocol in your homes. Yes, your normal everyday lives as you know it has to change. So we, in our local counties and communities, can begin to save lives that are so precious to all of us. We will, and we have, overcome many challenges, and we will overcome this one too. As you follow the stay-at-home advisory and the guidelines recommended to you by me and our Ute Mountain Ute Tribe in our partnership with the county, keep in mind, you're not stuck at home, but you're safe at home. Someone posted that on Facebook, and I truly believe that. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you and your families and your homes. Ute Mountain Ute Tribal Chairman Manuel Hart.
Thank you, Chairman Hart. We appreciate that. And what we'll do, folks, is we're going to go ahead and we'll go to our county administrator next to give an update on some of the things that the Montezuma County's been doing. We'll go back to the commissioners, and then we'll open it up for questions from the media. Is that okay, commissioners and Chairman? All right, go ahead, Shaq.
Okay, Montezuma County Public Health Department has been doing the contact tracing on the one positive in Montezuma County, contacting people who may have been in contact with the infected individual. We have been working with the multi-agency coordination group and trying to get supplies from the Strategic National Stockpile. At this time, people are asking what they can do to conduct their regular business with the county. First of all, I would like to say that the county is working to be flexible as we also try to comply with social distancing and protecting everybody in our county. For the administration department, most employees are working remotely, but we are still processing payables and payroll and HR-related tasks in a timely manner. If you need to make contact with administration, you can call 565-8317 or send an email to finance@co.montezuma.co.us. We had an update from our assessor this morning, Leslie Bugg. Her office is currently closed to the public, but they are continuing to do the work they need, and you can email her at lbugg, L-B-U-G-G, @co.montezuma.co.us. The phone number and voicemails are being checked is 565-3428. Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder has reduced their staff but spread out the hours, and so they can be reached 7 days a week at 564-2731 or mail to 140 West Main Street, Suite 1, Cortez, Colorado 81321. Payments to the Montezuma County Clerk can be placed in the ballot box behind the building, mailed in, paid by phone, or made online. For renewing your tags, you can also go to colorado.gov/DMV. Our CSU Extension Office is working remotely, and they can be emailed at COOPEXT_Montezuma@mail.colostate.edu. Our fairgrounds are closed until April 12th, 2020, or until further notice. However, the fairgrounds will be open for commodity distribution on April 11th by 7 o'clock a.m. To reschedule or to schedule events with the fairgrounds at this time, please call Justin McGuire at 970-759-1795. Our GIS and mapping department is working remotely. They will only come in as necessary to access equipment. However, they are checking voicemails at 564-4169. You can also email droth, R-O-T-H, at co.montezuma.co.us. The landfill is open. They are not taking some recyclables at this time because of contact those recyclables may make with people who have the potential to have COVID-19. They may close due to high winds. If you have questions for the landfill, please call 970-565-9858 during regular business hours from Monday through Saturday, 8 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Natural Resources is working remotely to finish grants and collaborate with the county's public land partners. They will only come to the office as necessary to access equipment necessary for performing job requirements. To conduct business with natural resources, please email James Dietrich at Dietrich, that's DIETRICH, at co.montezuma.co.us. You can also call 565-7402. Planning and zoning continues to work remotely. You can email them at planning@co.montezuma.co.us or call 565-2801. The Public Health Department is obviously working overtime. For questions about COVID-19, you can call their COVID-19 hotline, 564-4799. Our public transportation is still providing rides for critical needs such as groceries, and they are helping to deliver meals to seniors. To call and schedule with them, please call 564-2773. Rides cannot be scheduled by leaving a message. Our Road and Bridge Department is still providing critical infrastructure. The crews are practicing social distancing. You can reach Road and Bridge at 565-8252. Our senior services are making all of their meals to be delivered. If you have a senior who needs meal delivery in the Montezuma County area, please reach out at 565-4166 or send an email to jparker@co.montezuma.co.us. Our social services staff has some staff working remotely. However, they are still providing eligibility services if you need to register for TANF or EBT during this time. You can call 564-4138. Adult protection services and child protection services are still remaining. If you do have a child protection or adult protection emergency, you would still call 911. Our treasurer's office is working half of the staff remotely and half in the office. For assistance, call 565-7550 or email eblack@co.montezuma.co.us. The treasurer's office with the Board of County Commissioners has put out the following statements. Interest for late first half payments will be waived after March 20th for when the order was signed through April 20th. So there's an extension of 30 days on the interest of the first half payments. Ongoing foreclosures will proceed as planned. However, newly submitted foreclosure packets and future submissions will be held for review and recording until after April 20th. Should the order be extended, the county will make the best effort to determine at that point how to proceed. Our Veteran Service Offices is closed, but Rick and Sarah are working remotely to help veterans and their surviving spouses with claims. They're also checking in with and monitoring World War II, Vietnam, and Korean veterans as they are possibly more susceptible to COVID-19. To help with a veteran or their surviving spouse, please call 564-2779. And our Noxious Weed Department is working on agricultural properties and roads as deemed essential by the governor's office. Crews are working separately and practicing social distancing. For help identifying or treating noxious weeds, please call 565-0850 or email bloving@co.montezuma.co.us. So we want to assure everybody that the county is still working to provide the services that the community needs. In addition, our staff that is working remotely has also been tasked with disseminating and putting together the economic recovery information that is coming down from the Department of Local Affairs, from Region 9, from FEMA, and from the Office of Economic Development. And the county will be reaching out to local businesses to see how we can assist in those processes.
Thank you very much, Shaq. We appreciate the report on the standings of the county. Commissioner Percell.
Yes, I have a statement that I'd like to read on unemployment information. This is for businesses and people that have been had their jobs curtailed or temporarily put on hold that will qualify for unemployment insurance. Employees who have lost their job due to the COVID-19 virus can apply for unemployment benefits online at https://smartfile.coworkforce.com/start. After filling that application, clients will be sent information on how to also register for the Workforce Center. After the claim has been submitted, the unemployment office in Denver will send claim forms to the employer, who must fill them out and return them to the Denver office. If employers complete this step quickly, claims can be processed more quickly. The wait time for a client to start receiving benefits can be 3 to 8 weeks, depending on employers. The Workforce Center is currently closed to the public, but clients can call and leave a message if they need help filing claims online. Someone will return their call to assist them. Additional information can also be found on the Montezuma County website under COVID-19 Information and Resources under the Economic Development Resources tab.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Candelaria.
Yes, I just have one comment on that. To the employers out there, it's critical that the minute you get that documentation, that you get it sent back quickly to assist all of the employees out there. Montezuma County is aware that we're facing 2 emergencies at this point. One is the immediate response to the COVID-19 virus, and the other is the economic recovery that will need to follow. Local agencies are already hard at work gathering resources and getting information out to our area businesses. One of those agencies is the newly formed Montezuma Business Task Force, who has sent out a survey to local businesses to access their current and projected needs. The results of that survey will be presented to local, state, and federal legislators to communicate specific impacts on area businesses and indicate areas needing particular support. The task force has a team of volunteer chamber ambassadors who will be contacting local businesses to offer individual support. Information and assistance will be available from the Montezuma County Administration Economic Recovery Team, whose focuses will be to become familiar with the different programs that are available and to help businesses with the application process for different loans and grants. Right now, businesses are encouraged to talk to their banker or credit card provider. Many are deferring payments, providing lines of credit, or modifying loans. Emergency loans may also be available locally through the First Community Southwest Fund, the Region 9 Disaster Assistance Loan Program, and the San Juan Development Association. Additional information can be found on the Montezuma County website under COVID-19 information and resources on the Economic Development Resource tab.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, before we open it up for comment, I would just like to say that from the heart, I really appreciate all of the volunteers in this community. It is unbelievable how this community, neighbor has stepped up to try to get food to truck drivers, to try to get people that are homebound meals to eat, or to go get them groceries, or to go find them toilet paper where they haven't had any. This community has come together like something I've never seen. We do have a hard road ahead of us, but I believe in this community like I've never believed in anything else in my life. And I'll tell you, with the way that everybody is helping each other, the partnership that we've had, the daily meetings that Chairman Hart and the council has let me listen into, what they're dealing with on a daily, and what we're dealing with, and we all live in this county. We all have to work together, and it's happening. We're going to get through this. We have got a team in Montezuma County that is deployed where they can't do their original job at home. They are working now to get a hold of all the businesses and try to get them these SBA loans, that's what's so important about this SBA loan. If you get the loan, the way that the understanding that we have is, and you don't lay off your employees, you keep them working. If you can't have them working doing what their existing job is, maybe find something out and be a volunteer or something. But the way that reads is they will get, they'll come in and they'll turn the loan into a grant, and you will be forgiven part of that loan, if not all of that loan, depending on the time and the duration of this virus. So I love how everybody, the families have come together, how, I tell you what, that's the best I've ate in a long time. My wife sure does a lot of cooking now. And our children, we're getting to spend some very quality time with our children that we haven't in the past. And it's just there is hope out there. Let's go to the phones. Does any of the reporters have any questions of the commission, the administrator, Chairman Hart, and is this Preston?
No, that's Peter.
Peter.
Legal.
Peter, can you introduce yourself? I didn't introduce you, and I apologize.
Turn your
for
mic
that.
up. Peter Ortego, the General Counsel for the Mountain View Tribe.
Okay, Peter, all right, thank you, Peter. So we'll go. Is there anybody that has any questions that they would like to ask the board, the tribe at this time, that's on the phone call? Are you able to monitor that?
There may be a delay there.
Okay. Right now, our computers are showing the Zoom instead of the call. The call, yeah. So do you think that, was it a go-to meeting?
Yeah, they're on the phone with GoToMeeting.
Just hold on there, folks. We're just making sure we've got two different ways of communicating virtually right now, Zoom and GoToMeeting.
Right now, we can't get to the go-to-meeting people. Is there anybody out there at the go-to-meeting that can hear us? Jim Mimianga, Kelly Turner, any of you, can you hear us?
You can send a text message to us also if you have our phone numbers. Mine in front of me right now is 970-749-3841 if you're having difficulties with the meetings, and I'll let the other two give you theirs.
This is Jim at the Journal. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah, Jim.
There you go.
Do you have any questions, Jim, for any of us? Did you hear me back, Jim?
My question is the county and Ute Mountain Tribe applying for disaster relief funds from the state or federal government?
Kelly Turner did a thing saying that they can't hear you.
Well, Jim, I don't think we're jointly applying for any disaster relief funds. I know our emergency manager, Mr. Spratlen, definitely has his head and his eyes lined up for when the release of those federal dollars start coming out and what departments and categories that we may qualify.
Yeah, and the other question I have is...
Well, let's let Chairman Hart respond.
Yeah, we're kind of looking at some right now with this $2 trillion that was passed by Congress. There is some set aside for economic recovery for tribes, and that amount is $8 billion. And each tribe, there's 574 tribes in the United States that are federally recognized. Each one of them will have access to this as part of the recovery plan. But also, that $8 billion that's set aside was not the total request that we thought would meet Indian country. I think we were requesting $20 billion. So right now, Congress allocated $8 billion.
All right, your second question, Jim? Did you hear me, Jim? Your second question? Or anybody else on the line? Is there a way to open it up, Shaq, to where we take the Zoom off and we put on where if there's comments, public comment as well?
So there is comment coming over the YouTube feed, but I don't have access to that from where I'm sitting. So I'm asking Isaac to send me this question.
Yeah, there's a bit of a delay here between the phone and the online version.
Oh, okay.
But the other question is, does the county plan to restrict visitors to local residents only, similar to what the other two San Juan counties have done in Utah and Colorado?
You're saying, would we close our borders to local residents only? Is that what the question is?
Take 30 seconds.
Good, it'll give me 30 seconds to think. Is that what he asked?
I think they're on it, yeah.
Did you hear the response, Jim? Jim, could you repeat the question for us one more time?
Yeah, similar to what San Juan County, Utah, and San Juan County, Colorado, the Silverton area.
So I can address, we have not had any discussions about going that far yet as far as limiting who comes in and out of Montezuma County. Would that be safe to say, Commissioners?
At this point in time, that's correct. We have had no advisement from either our local public health and or our local sheriff's department.
And I believe that Ute tribe, you could go ahead.
And on our side, from Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, 491 is still open, and so is 160. We're not deterring any traffic, as I know that it's
I'm not sure if you guys can hear me
vital.
or not, but the question is whether the county would restrict visitation to local residents only, including on federal and BLM lands. That's what San Juan County, Utah has done, and also San Juan County, Colorado.
We have not been advised at this time to do so, Jim. That would be a direct answer. We are constantly being advised as this progresses, and then decisions would be made very rapidly, I might add. Chairman Hart's actually is responding to that question as well. We'll let him move forward.
Under road closures, we're not doing any road closures as of 491 and 160.
Do you have, can a non-member go on to?
No.
Okay.
No, a non-member cannot go into the communities. We do have roadblocks for the communities, but not the main state highways.
All right.
Okay, I have a comment here on a text. It says, "Hey, Kelly Turner here from KRTZ. I just want to commend your new PIO for working with us on safety and health tips for seniors. We have those running on KVFC, so thanks to Vicky for that." Thank you, Kelly.
All right, is there anybody else on the phone call that would like to ask a question of Chairman Hart or the county commissioners? Do you have any, Shaq?
I'll just give I don't have any questions coming in yet directed to you all. I do also want to give a shout out to our PIO, Vicky Schaefer. She has increased our reach of people on social media 4,000%. So,
wow, good for her.
So, one of Kelly Turner, he put it on the top chat, is that we press folks on the call can't even hear what they're saying. I had to jump out and monitor it on the YouTube feed. So we are having technical difficulties as far as response from those folks. Bear with us, folks. I tell you, this won't be the first one of these.
We'll get better.
We'll get better at it. We just need to work through the kinks. There's so many firsts in our community that daily things change. We'll give it a couple more minutes.
Hi, this is Daniel Vizel from KSJD. Can you hear me?
Yes, Daniel, we can hear you loud and clear.
it'll be a few seconds before he hears that response.
Is the county itself able to make a donation to the equipment mentioned earlier that would expedite testing at the hospital?
I think that the answer is there would be a discussion, but that would be a great possibility that would happen.
That is correct. I think we just brought that up here at the meeting today, trying to figure out for sure what that is, and when we meet with Dr. Kent Aiken to decide that, and that will probably happen within a meeting tomorrow, and then it has to come back in front of the commission to see what the number is that we can move forward with.
Do you have another question?
I have a question that's been texted to me by Jim Mimiaga. Says, Shaq, a bit of a delay. Another question is, how are you providing meals and aid to elderly residents? And Jim, we are providing meals through our senior services. In Cortez, we deliver meals on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and different days of the week in Mancos and Dolores. We have also ordered meal kits for the days that we're not delivering, that we'll be delivering every other week, and we're also working with Food Share on the weeks that we're not delivering those meal kits to provide some fresher food during that time. So if anybody has a senior in need, the phone number to call for that is 565-4166, or email jparker@co.montezuma.co.us.
One other comment as I'm reading through here is the information that Shaq read through this morning will also be available online on our website. So just to reiterate that again, all of the information of what Montezuma County is doing, every department and their hours will be on our website.
Chairman Hart.
On our part, for Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, we are serving meals to all our elders on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and it's only lunches only, and the elderly department will be delivering them to the homes.
Chairman, I seen something about produce or something like that. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes, we've been trying to get a food bank together. We applied for some grants, and we do have some grants currently that donated to get a food bank going, looking at what the shortfalls that are happening in the grocery stores here in Cortez. So we started creating a food bank down there, and we just sent out our first wave of giving to community members of 675 homes, both in Toyac and White Mesa as a total. Yesterday we sent out some fruits, vegetables, some chicken, some rice, beans, just some basic necessities to each one of the households. So we went through that first wave yesterday for Toyac. Today in White Mesa, they'll be delivering the foods over in White Mesa. And we still collecting more food for a second week that we'll be doing this. So we'll probably be doing this once a week.
Oh, that's great. Any other questions before we wrap it up?
My phone is clear now.
Chairman Hart.
If there is no more questions, I would like to thank the County Commissioner Chair Sukla, County Commissioner Candelaria, County Commissioner Ortel, and all the staff in the county and the city of Cortez and everyone that's listening. Let's be safe out there, and let's see if we can save some lives in our county and our southwest Colorado. Please practice the guidelines that we set out. Thank you very much on behalf of the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe.
Thank you very much, Chairman Hart, and on behalf of the county commissioners and our staff as well, we would like to thank you for coming. This partnership that we have is great, and we're going to continue to make it grow, and we're going to work together as neighbors to get through this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Looking for a motion.
I move we adjourn.
One last response here just popped up from Kelly Turner. Just says thanks for your accessibility. Thank you, Kelly. We're trying to be as accessible as possible in this time of uncharted waters, and we really are trying to make that effort to be out there. So like I said, when we have these, if you can't get through, you can always text us. We'll keep our phones here so that we can have that access also. Thank you.
Motion on the floor.
I move that we adjourn.
There's a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chuck, are we off the air now, do you know?
I don't know because I'm not on my computer.
Oh,
not yet.
Let's find out. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. It was a slippery one.
Yeah.